Yo. It's Grapsody with Will, Phil, and Reg, trying to keep it real instead of what you usually get from these talking heads. It's Grapsody, we're here to fill the void. 3 black fans, different perspective, got to fill your voice. Coming with the podcast, talking majors, indies in between. Yeah, it's all that, and we're down with Fightful, better fall back. Coming for respect, we connect like a ball bat. No need to double check, these are all facts. You're listening to us talk raps. You're listening to us talk raps. Will, Phil, and Reg. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome to 2022. This is Grapsody, and it is January 1st, 2022. Now, I know what you're thinking. I thought y'all weren't going to do a show this week. I thought there was going to be a best of. And you know what? There was. But we couldn't leave y'all hanging. We're here. And, yeah, we're going to do our thing. Because I'm Will Washington. And Phil Lindsey's also here.
Hey, I'll say it. I missed you guys, man. I missed you guys. I don't know if you can hear. I saw my man Will had to mute the mic. I was behind singing my man's theme song. I was hyped.
Let's go, bro. Let's
Your
get
boys
it.
is in the building, man. We are back. Happy New Year. We are here, bro.
Yeah, Righteous Reg also here.
In the building, your favorite rapper, your favorite writer, your favorite podcaster. The game is the game. We weren't here. I was going to sleep in. And then the people said, no way, my brothers. I need you 3 brothers to be up and at it because the wrestling world is on fire. So, you know what? We appreciate y'all being with us here on this Saturday morning. It's 2022. It's crazy out here. Happy New Year.
Listen, there was a point last night where I kept seeing people like, man, Grapsody's got to record. Like, what are you guys going to say? And it kind of felt like, you know, in the Josie and the Pussycats movie where, like, she, like, takes off, like, the headphones and, like, the rest of the crowd is doing it, too. And she's like, whoa, whoa. And it felt like that. Like, I was looking around like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
Every tweet, I was like, yo, wait. Ooh, they're like, Reg, what about you? Oh, what's Phil going to do? Oh, I'm like, yeah.
Hey, we're not dodging any conversations. And, you know, first off, I just want to say, you know, our condolences to Trisha Dora.
Yeah.
You know, had a loss in her family today. You know, all well wishes go to her. Man, it's a tough situation to come into the new year with that. And yeah, we're supporting you. We're supporting the champ.
Yeah, love out to Trish as always. Big loss. It's a crazy way to start the year. We're just gonna support from afar and hope that everything's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope everybody is coming into 2022 safe and sound. You know, I spent my whole New Year's at home with my kids, having a good time. We played Mario Party like all night.
That's great.
So
it sounded like World War II outside in Oakland. It's fireworks, it's gunshots, it's explosions. I'm like, are y'all filming a Michael Bay movie outside there? What is going on here? It was crazy. A crazy night of stuff. I stayed inside hiding behind things because where do the bullets go? That's my question the whole time. Like, where the fuck do these bullets go, bro?
Hiding behind things, just, you know, rubbing a few Boston beans in his hand and going,
man, I'm saying,
leave me alone.
So if there's a scientist, somebody who knows about heat, tell me in the comments, where do the bullets go? They gotta come down. They don't just stop in the air like fucking movie, The Matrix or some shit.
Where does the poop go?
Great question.
And hey, I want to let everybody know that being that this is Grapsody, being that we are live on a Saturday, that we do the show live every Saturday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. We can be found at youtube.com/Fightful. And we also, throughout the show, we read your chats. We read your Humper chats. We read your Super chats. Although people have been wondering what I've been staring at over here, I somehow got logged out of the Streamlabs solution for Humper chats. And so I've been trying to get back in, and I can't at the moment. So Jeremy, if you're watching, can you DM me the Humper chats throughout the show? That would really help me. because I can't see them. And
Coming in
That's
with
how the
technical
Grapsody boys
difficulties.
starting
Yeah.
it. I mean, 2022 out the gate. You know how we do it.
yes, but we do have plenty of super chats. Want to read those out of the way. First, we got. Let's go to see what the very first one, because y'all were here early. There's so I am like scrolling way up. We got a shout out to the homie Jesse. Just a heart. Always appreciate that.
Thank you, Jesse.
I was talking with Jesse this morning because I was not in a great place this morning, and I'll explain why.
Woo-wee.
Just a little bit.
Oh my goodness
and I will say
gracious.
that as one of my close friends, one thing is Jesse is really great at is bringing me back down to earth sometimes. And like sometimes if I'm just like, what the fuck, she's really good to. She's really good with that.
Because Phil and I are like, man, what the fuck too? What? Man, it's crazy out here.
Yeah. Yes, and I'm sorry, but Jeremy just popped in, and he's here helping us out, and I appreciate that.
Jeremy,
so thank you,
thank you. He's helped us out earlier. He sent me and Phil a DM like, yo, he's been on fire this morning.
Yeah,
Appreciate him.
Shout out to the point guard, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shout out. And we just got another one. Yeah, I'm gonna go through, read some of the super chats, and you can send us your super chats at youtube.com. But we prefer the Humper chats. Jeff says, hello, friends. Wishing the whole Fightful roster and viewers a happy, healthy, and amazing 2022. Cheers.
Appreciate you, Jeff. Thanks for the comments and things the last couple days.
Shout out to Jeff, man. Jeff is really cool on Twitter, man. He's one of people that interacts all the time, and he's always cool, man. Shout out to Jeff.
Yep, and shout out to the homie Chris. Happy New Year, guys. He's the good doctor. Good luck in 2022. Swole rules.
Facts.
Said first Grapsody for me, and this is from Anakin JMT. Says knew this was a must listen, so thank you for the super chat on your first Grapsody.
Yes,
thank you for the support. Thank you for the support, sir.
JJ, the distraction head, says it's a happy new year with a Grapsody podcast.
JJ, appreciate you all the time. Retweets, all the stuff, man. You're the best.
Carlos, Grapsody are for the people. Happy New Year, guys.
That's a huge fact.
Yeah.
We are here because of the people. We were off today.
Truly, we were off
today.
I'm supposed to be asleep right now, especially because it snowed last night. And
it's just cozy over there, huh?
No, I don't. So here's the thing. I don't want to get out and shovel, but I know I have to.
I see. So if you're up, that means you got to be out there. Got you.
So we also got Chris says, Happy New Year, guys.
Jeter, what's up, bro?
What's good, buddy?
Let's see what else we got here. And there goes my 10:15 alarm that I gotta remember to stop letting go off on Saturdays. But I swear, every Saturday on this show, every week, my 10:15 alarm hits. Yeah, and so I think I'm gonna turn that off. I keep forgetting to turn it off.
Those people.
Let's see. We got.
Might watch a WWE show tonight.
Yeah, we got D-Lo says, as someone who lost their mom to a stroke, I can only imagine how hurt she is. My prayers to the Queen, Trisha.
Shout out to you too, D-Lo. That's huge, man. Like, we just sending love out to everybody. Moms.
Yeah, and the Hebekin says, imagine being Trisha Dora, Keith Lee, Mia Yim, or Shane Taylor and Gresham looking at Tony Khan's tweet last night. How are you so insecure to let a little objective criticism cost you and your company so much credibility? We've got a lot to discuss on that. Dante said, regardless of what you think is right, a boss shouldn't be tweeting disparaging remarks about a former employee, especially after they said a fair criticism. Very unprofessional. All it does is distract from the performers. Let's see. We got another one. Alyssa says, a diverse roster must also be equitable. Invest the same energy in women and BIPOC as you do with men and white wrestlers.
These are all valid points.
We have Brian, who says the only good thing about this situation is it gets us a bonus edition of U3. Happy New Year.
Another valid point.
CM says, sad to see some people using this situation to bash on Jade. You can praise Swole without calling Jade trash or whatever you may think.
Yeah, don't do
Also
that.
valid. Let's see, Ethan Stewart.
What's
Thank
up,
you.
Ethan, man?
Yep,
Happy
he's
New Year.
like in the
Mac.
building.
My dude Mac from Brooklyn says, appreciate y'all brothers coming in on your day off.
You know,
I
when they
wasn't
send
even
out the
supposed to
back
work
signal,
today.
we gotta
Yeah.
pull up. We gotta pull up.
Aiden says, was with family last night and I opened Twitter to that tweet. Immediately got excited to hear y'all talk about it today. Keep up the great work.
What tweet?
And Ken said, yeah, what are we talking about? I don't know. I was offline last
Yeah, I
night.
didn't see. I wasn't on Twitter all last night.
Shout out to Phil for his correct Spider-Man movie takes.
Hey, man. Appreciate you.
Is Toby number 2 your favorite one?
Toby number 2 is indeed my favorite one.
We got my dude Andrew Zarian says, happy New Year, guys. Keep up the amazing work. Here's to great things in 2022. Are you gonna get to a show because there's so many of these three?
Y'all are out here.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
True Hill Heat, SP3. Happy New Year. I support Swole and my brothers. Danny
Shout out to
says,
my man SP3.
glad you guys found your footing in the wrestling podcast game. Thank you,
Ew,
Danny.
deep waters. I don't know how we did it, but we are out here.
Avery says, I'm watching this instead of shoveling.
Look at y'all. Hey, fuck those responsibilities, man. It's January 1st.
Shout out to the homegirl Hannah.
Hey.
What's up, Hannah?
Mixed Tag said, happy New Year, family.
Shout out to the
What's
homie
good?
Blue.
What's good, Big Blue?
Shout out to the homie Blue.
We got Jay Blood said, remember when Tony was background and let the show and stars be out front? That was nice.
Thanks a lot,
we got-
social media.
Wrestle
Hey.
Voice says, gotta be better, TK. What's more alarming is that people don't read everything in full. I couldn't find a lie on what Swole said. She was actually speaking positively and about how AEW could be better. Aubrey says, happy New Year, guys. Thanks for coming in on your day off. Can't wait to see Grapsody continue to grow. Thank you. And look, like, seriously, everybody, thank you so much for the support.
That's dope.
Robert says, I feel for Ty, Anna, Bunny, and Penelope. They busted their butts only to get overshadowed by that tweet. I wouldn't say they got overshadowed because I do feel like they...
Hey, I will say just this. Other than the fact that it got overshadowed, I did see a lot of people trying to share that moonsault. I didn't watch the match, but I did see people trying to show that moonsault. If we are getting behind women and saying don't mistreat women, don't mistreat all women. Don't use this as a chance to bash on other women. Like, if we're supporting and we want women's wrestling to be in a better place, don't do that. That does not help the women.
No. Andrew says, happy New Year, guys. Great to have you back. Great chat with Phil about some of the criticism of Lash Legends early matches. Would love to hear all your thoughts. Yeah, we can definitely talk about.
I feel bad because I don't remember this conversation, but
I mean, it's a lot of the same thing I've said about NXT 2.0 as a whole, right? That
she shouldn't be on TV.
You're
too green to be. There's beyond green. There's like,
and the hard thing is, it's an unfair situation, right? Because when we talk about the Performance Center and the successes out of the Performance Center, when you talk about a Charlotte Flair, when you talk about a Bianca Belair, when you talk about anybody that the Performance Center made, they didn't just drop them on 205 Live, right? Nope. No, they had Largo loops, they had all of that stuff. And right now, NXT is not running any type of house show. NXT is not running any type of loops. Literally, the only reps these guys are getting in front of fans. And like a good place to do that would be letting them work indies. But the only reps these guys are getting in front of fans are the 205 Live and NXT tapings. Like maybe it's a good idea to maybe just do dark matches. Like don't air them.
Yeah.
But
if I'm saying your third ever match in the history of the world on TV, like, come on, you guys. That's crazy.
And I thought the thing that made it worse is that their Twitter account tweeted out that clip and it made her look bad. Like, I don't think that like, now I do think people massively overreacted to it. Definitely. But I do think they put her in a bad spot.
Absolutely put her in a bad spot. And I fully believe that there's a way to, I mean, obviously the Performance Center has to rethink entirely how they get people reps in front of fans. Because there truly, as any wrestler will tell you, you can work as many matches as you see fit in an empty ring, but the moment there's fans in the building, it's a different experience. Everything changes, and that's because all of a sudden now you have a crowd to please, and there's reactions you have to play with. There's so many X factors for all of that, and so there's gonna have to be a way to get people those reps, and I don't necessarily see putting that in a way where you're exposing it to social media criticism to be the best way to do that. So that's how I feel anyway. So there's my thoughts on Lash Legends. Thanks, Andrew. Jennifer says, thank you for doing this on your day off. I am here to shut the fuck up and listen and process. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you for being each of who you are. Also, shout out to the spaces last night, Phil. What a wild start. That's an evergreen statement, by the way. Shout out to the spaces, Phil, because he's always got the spaces popping. And
he is spaces Phil.
Come on, man.
He's the spaces king.
Man.
Let's see. We got Audacity of the Caucasity says,
what a name. What a name.
As a Maori boy from New Zealand, I thought it'd be hard to find much representation for me outside of Dakota Kai and Jay White. But thankfully, the IWC let me know the Lucha Bros aren't white either. So obviously, we'll have so much in common. Jay Shell, shout out Jay Shell. She says, real hard night and morning on the Twitter for Black folks. Lots of blocking and lots of closeted racism, sending positive vibes and healing your way, as it can be so daunting and really take a toll on you to be a Black person in this space. Sending my love.
Hey, man.
Audacity of the Caucasity followed up with, but yeah, in all seriousness, if you respond to my concerns about the diversity / representation of my people with how another group of people are being treated, all I'm hearing is that you think we're all the same. Well, there's stuff to talk about, and we're about to dive into all of that. Wrestle Voice says, hope you guys had a great new year. Unluckily, it is sad that people don't read articles and process them as they are. Swole said nothing inaccurate. Now there's an indictment on Black representation, and people are beginning to show their real colors. Wrestle Voice says TK knows better and needs to be better. He needs to learn how to take criticism, as nothing is perfect. People are attacking Leo for being real. This is where we stand together and have a real discussion about having our people represented. Joseph says, thank y'all for taking the time to address what's going on. As a Filipino, I understand it's not my place to speak on these matters directly, but just wanted to say y'all are being heard, and I stand with Swole all day. Brian Bautis says, she left on good terms, then accuses the company of diversity weeks later as reason she left. Tony probably felt attacked and said real reason she left was talent, not color, not professional, but both sides to blame. IMO, Tony needs PR. Love you. D'Lo Diggs said, shots for Betty White. R.I.P.
Rest in peace to the legend. Rest in peace to the legend.
Betty White. We all have been watching her our entire lives, every single one of us.
Big facts.
R.I.P.
Pagan says, we need to shift the combo from diversity to equity. Diverse rosters can lack equity. That's the problem with AEW as well as other promotions. Diversity.
We need to define diversity, and that's what we're going to get into.
I have that. Yeah, that's one of my many points that is right here. He says a ratio. However, is the roster given equitable chances? Can't happen in scripted TV. And Matt says, Happy New Year's to my Grapsody fam. Prayers out to Trish Adora. And a certain someone who has lost their mind on Twitter yesterday. Man, these are still just coming in. Hi, guys, supporter of the pod. And this one's from Proud Latino. Says, supporter of the pod. I hope the discussion of Swole TK includes the insulting takes that Latino representation doesn't seem to mean diversity. We're actually going to talk about that too. Either we in this or we not. TK's response was stupid. Swole seems a bit bitter. Anton Triple H says, I'm here for the rant. Love you guys. Keep it up. Ryan Sullivan says, Happy New Year. Phil Spaces last night went all over the place. Cannot believe it even contained drink slander.
Daniel Stop drinking Crown. Stop drinking it. It's trash.
Daniel Rothenberg says, hey guys, Happy New Year. Who not in AEW should be a part of the TNT title challenge? Oh, I like actual wrestling stuff.
There's wrestling on this episode?
I'm hoping for Gresham. And yeah, there's actual pro wrestling still to talk about. Let's see.
Daniel Garcia needs a shot at that TNT title.
And you know what? I am actually going to now relieve. Let's see if it worked.
By the way, IWTV Wrestler of the Year Daniel Garcia.
Let's see.
And
Shout out to the guy.
Garcia.
Let's see.
Wrestler of the year and match of the year. The dude just was on fire this year in the independent wrestling scene. And the independent wrestling scene is lucky that he is a signed wrestler, so they don't have to compete with him anymore.
GG.
Big facts.
Yes. Jeremy, you are relieved of your duties. It's working.
Thank you, Jeremy. It sounds like it's hot
Thank
out
you.
there.
Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate you.
We appreciate
He's
you,
literally
brother.
here with us right now. I can see Jeremy right now. I could
In the
literally bring
building.
him on screen, but it would mess up our little our 3 setup right now. But Jeremy is here.
Right.
Oh my god.
But thank you, Jeremy. Let's see. We got let's see. Okay. I'll tell you guys what. Damn, there's so many super chats.
20 minutes of super chat. Y'all are crazy. We love y'all.
We gotta get into the topics at hand.
We got to
today.
talk about what y'all are talking about.
We got to talk about it because there's a lot. So we will start with topic numero cinco. And that is
Well, we just lost our Latino fan base that fast. They're
hey,
not
I
here.
at least tried to get it right.
Jeez.
Tony Khan, the tweet. I am going to preface this conversation with the following, because I feel there's a little piece that needs to be addressed that no one is aware of currently, except you guys. That I stayed out of this conversation for a couple of reasons last night. One, I feel that the conversation is a little bit complex for 240 characters. I just don't like having truly meaningful conversations on Twitter. I don't. I used to try to do so, and I feel like nuance gets lost. I feel like when you're stuck in text, and I feel like the emotion gets lost in things, and I feel like nobody necessarily wants to hear as much as they just want their point made. So therefore, I back off of that kind of stuff on Twitter. I leave it to the expert, Mr. Philip Lindsey.
Facts.
Why is it me?
It's you, bro. That's what you've earned it.
The second thing is I will say, and I'm going to leave out a lot of details because I don't think they should be out there. Private conversation. But I feel like it is important for me to note that both before and after the tweet, I did talk to Tony Khan. I did have conversation with Tony Khan.
Bing bong.
The only detail I'm going to put out there from that conversation is that I did extend an invite to be a part of this show and to talk to the voices of Grapsody, especially about this particular topic. So those are, I feel, the important details as far as that was concerned. So I kind of have a little bit of a unique perspective as far as this is concerned. And yeah, I do have a little bit more a unique perspective as far as a lot of this is concerned, and that's a big piece of why I feel like I had to at least put that out there, that I'm not approaching this simply from having read the tweet and nothing else. It had no conversation since then.
Well, we are officially, to the Twitterverse, to the world, AEW shills for sure now. They are not gonna. They will never ever drop that from here.
No, and you know what? Phil didn't, and Reg didn't. I did. So I'll own that. And that's absolutely how that's gonna go. And so the topic at hand is diversity in pro wrestling. And I feel like the first thing I want to do is define diversity. Because I think we have to define two different things we're talking about here. I feel like diversity and Black representation go hand in hand, aren't necessarily exactly the same thing.
Right.
Because I feel a couple of points do have to be made, at least as far as I'm concerned. You may disagree, and we are welcome to disagree here. This is where conversation is good and conversation can't be had. And
Yeah.
shout out to Andres Hale, because I feel like he's also
one of the best.
One of the
best out there to me.
That's a
Yeah.
fact.
He
That's
is
a fact.
so good. So one of the big parts of diversity is, or one of the things that needs, a couple of the things I feel need to be acknowledged. When you cite diversity specifically, especially as a black person, and keep in mind, this is a conversation being had between black people, kind of for black people. When we're talking about diversity, if you simply cite that there is no diversity in any particular topic, you are going to bring out all minoritized voices, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And some minoritized voices aren't necessarily going to see it all the same way, because somebody Latino is going to see it as, well, I'm represented, so how are you going to say there's no diversity? I'm a minority. And somebody Asian is going to look up and say, I feel represented. Why do you feel there's no diversity? Somebody gay, trans, you name it, they might look up and say, what are you talking about? There's no diversity. I don't see it. So a big thing that I feel we need to establish is there's black representation, which is a part of diversity.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also just black representation on its own. And the term I feel like I want to stick with on this topic is black representation, because that is where I feel like the piece is missing. Because I am going to give the first part of Tony Khan's tweet its due, that he is a minority. He is for all intents and purposes, he is a person of color. And that is not something that I feel like you can necessarily try to argue your way out of solely for the sake of, whoa, we have a guest. Solely for the sake of this conversation. Do we bring in the guest at the moment?
Drum roll?
Do we? Well, I wasn't really I didn't have graphics prepared for this.
Yeah, I kind of was like, yo, what's up?
Okay, so now that that's out of the way, okay, but I feel like none of that's out of the way yet. There's
No,
still
it's not. We got a lot to get
I know
into.
there's a lot to cover, right? But all of a sudden now, I was thrown off. You didn't tell me this was coming.
Whoops.
But
I like little surprises sometimes.
But all of a sudden, we've got a guest who was scheduled to be a part of Grapsody in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, what happened was this guest was gonna be on Grapsody January 22nd. Like we booked it. This was like a week or two ago. Like this was official. This wasn't because of what happened yesterday. This all just kind of happened really fast. Yesterday was one of the fastest, craziest days in our inception. So all this just came together. So
yeah, well, I suppose I should just bring up our names then, because ladies and gentlemen, surprise guest here on Grapsody, we are joined by the one and only Captain Sean Dean.
it's the captain.
Shout out,
What's
man.
going on, fellas? How you guys doing? Shout out, man. What's
How
up?
you living, brother? How you living? Hey, I just want to say real quick, I knew Sean was a real one when all that was going on, and all these other people were like taking pictures of their pizzas and like, oh, I'm here for pizzas. And my man said he's here for home with a hoagie. I was like, yo, he's from this city, man. He's a Southsider like me, man. He's from this city, man.
Man, went straight to 100. Went straight to 111, man. Got me a home for Hoagie, man.
That's where I grew up. So I was like, hey, I feel him.
Them Chi-Town boys.
Hold up, I'm gonna show
Yes,
you
sir.
that Sean Dean's a real one, because this man. Now, keep in mind, I got two kids who are just two really big wrestling fans, right? But this man stepped aside because my son yelled out, "It's the captain!" Right? And this man stopped what he was doing.
Look at the captain on duty.
nice.
All my kids, take a picture of my kids. Sean will always be the realest dude to me. I appreciate
Oh my
that
God.
so
So
much. Anybody who's good to my kids is
So-
A+ with me.
So, Sean, I don't know if you remember this. Also, the night that Punk debuted, I was trying to get to my seat because I was talking to somebody in the lobby, and I'm walking in my seat, and Sean's just like walking around in the lobby, like in wrestling again. I was like, "What are you doing out here?" And he's just like walking around taking pictures with people. I'm like, "What are you doing?"
I was going to see my so you know I'm a Pledge Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, and I was going to see my Pledge mom, and she was in I didn't get a chance to see her before the show, so I was going to go see her, man. I was just walking around, in my gear, just taking pictures as I went, man. So never too busy, man.
Well, you had a busy night, a real busy night.
For sure.
And so obviously, like I said, there's a lot to talk about here, and the topic we're discussing at hand. Big Swole is another topic here. Big Swole is actually the next topic. Right now, simply talking about the tweet. And so, yes, the point I wanted to make as I was trying to make the start was that I do feel that addressing all things properly, I do think that that dismissing Tony Khan's background, I think, is a mistake. And I think that it is important to acknowledge that he is the only person of color who is running a major wrestling company.
It's true.
That's the first part of that tweet.
Yeah.
Start with love. Start with love, as Joe Budden said.
The second part of that was the public performance evaluation of Big Swole that I don't necessarily feel, and I have expressed this, that I think was completely unnecessary, and I think it undermined the first part of that message. It undermined really the idea that there are strides being made with certain Black talent, and I think that evaluating Swole in that message, I think, completely devalues anything that was said before, because now it just seems like the evaluation of Swole, how you feel about her as a performer, for another conversation. But as far as that was concerned, I feel like undermined any part of the message and didn't need to be said in response to any type of criticism of the environment,
right? And to just put that the show to promote the show also was kind of crazy to kind of draw it all in together.
So I would say this: I think that addressing it in a tweet that fast was a mistake. I just think the timing of it was off, and whether he feels offended or not, I just feel like there's a time to acknowledge that, and there's also a time to listen. And I think the biggest fault that I felt from the tweet is it didn't feel like he listened to her issues, because I think it's one thing to read the excerpts and another thing to listen to the podcast and actually hear everything she said. Because if you listen to it, like, it didn't feel like an attack on the company. Like, I felt like she said she believed.
I didn't feel like there were any
no, it wasn't an attack,
hard feelings that came out of the podcast at all.
Yeah, she said she believed in the women's division. She believed in what the company was doing and said that they made great strides. But she also came with, what I felt were valid criticisms. And, whether you agree with her or not, there was just a better way to approach that. And, personally, as a fan of AEW, I was disappointed in the way that he came at her. And just as somebody that respects Big Swole and, kind of admires her as a person, I was even more disappointed because because I'll put it this way. When you say that someone Black is not good enough, and I understand that you also put in there her wrestling is not good enough.
Right.
When you say that a Black person is not good enough, it
looks away.
It has a subtext to it. And like you just, and I'm not saying that was his intention, but just the way that it came off, it was a bad look. And it's like, he might not know that, and that might be something that non-Black people might not understand. But we've been told we're not good enough our entire lives, man.
When we are good enough, they told Jordan he's not good enough. We've
been told we're not good enough. We've been told we're not good enough our entire lives, man. So, just to come off of what she said and to say that, it just was, in my opinion, out of line. And I just honestly, I feel like he owes her an apology.
So, Captain, I think that's kind of where we I think that's kind of where we get here. Everyone talks about diversity, and I think we kind of need to define diversity, because when people are talking about diversity in AEW, they're really talking about black men in the main event scene. That's legit. When they say there's no diversity, they're talking about the main event scene, the world title scene, because we know there's diversity on AEW Dark. We know there's wrestlers here. My favorite wrestlers wrestle there. Will Hobbs wrestles there. Lee Moriarty. Like, it's a bunch of wrestlers here. So when they're talking about diversity, we know what they're talking about. And in comes you, because a part of this diversity, you're helping a lot with it. So you put out a tweet just saying, like, hey, I'm a part of AEW. This is what I do here. I'm a part of this diversity. And the floodgates opened. A lot of people were very upset at
and I want to
saying what their job is.
And because I want to give credit to Sean here real quick, in that one of the things that I talk about in diversity, when talking about diversity in pro wrestling, one of the things I've talked about for years is that diversity doesn't just happen on screen. That to me, what I want to see is diversity behind the scenes, because when you get into diversity behind the scenes, then what you start to see is a lot more accurate representation come out in front of the scenes. And that goes for movies, that goes for television, that goes for music. If behind the scenes representation isn't happening, then the representation on screen can sometimes be questionable.
Right.
And maybe a lot of people don't know this. If they don't, they will know now. But you, Sean, aren't just an on-screen competitor.
No, I'm not. So behind the scenes, my job title is like the extra coordinator. So what comes with that is like all the talent that we have on Dark, some of the enhancement people that's on Dynamite, Rampage, those people I go out and book. I try to find them on social media through networking with my peers that's on the roster, some of the people who I know outside the scenes, and I try to bring them in and give them an opportunity. Now, whether that opportunity is 3 minutes or 10 minutes, that's not up to me. But my thought process is that I'm trying to get eyes on the people who I feel like don't necessarily get enough love or get seen enough, so I try to do that. And from it, some signings have came, like Lee Moriarty or, with Kiera Hogan, trying to get her when she left Impact, getting her on board at AEW. So, I featured some of the prominent, minority names on the indies, like Trish Adore, Willow Nightingale, Tim, just plenty of people who try to get an opportunity. The main event, so many people who just don't get an opportunity. Kosher Inc., like just a lot of people who don't really would get an opportunity elsewhere. I try to give them an opportunity on Dark. And that's showcasing their ability, and that's making them more marketable and getting their name and getting them a buzz so that they can get, some credit out there. This past WWE tryout, when you look at that tryout that WWE just had, man, I've seen so many faces that was on Dark that I put on Dark, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I don't know what that process would have happened if they would have went on there regardless, but I would like to think that me giving them that platform on Dark before they went out there, that's attributed to me putting them out there, getting their name out there, getting them some buzz around them, But like, before we go on that, I do want to take a step back and I'll talk back on my role some more, but I do want to address that tweet and just say that, I've never been one to speak for anybody. So I can't speak for TK and what he said in that tweet and how he felt about it. I agree with what you guys are saying as far as should he not have put it out there or worded it differently. Man, he most certainly could have. It could have came off a whole lot better if he would have worded it differently, and it's unfortunate that he said some good things in the beginning and ended it with the way how it came across. Because being a minority, being a black male, I understand that how it came across what he was saying, And I do think that Swole is a hell of an athlete. I think that she can hold her own, and she was coming into her own, and some things derailed that, some personal things, and I'm not going to speak on her personal things, but she had a lot of things that derailed her from her momentum that she had, and she understood that, But what she said, too, about, a lot of the things that, things interrupting her peace, she spoke. Swole is not one to hold punches, what she's saying is what she said backstage, like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that anything that she said is false, because what she said is how she feels, and she said it openly backstage plenty of times to plenty of people, you know. So it's
Right.
not like she is not, you know, I'm not discrediting anything that she is saying. The only thing that I took away from it for me was that I wanted to let the people know, our people know that I'm in there. Like I'm trying to create that diversity that we want to see, and it and we all don't like, we don't like to hear that it takes time, because again, from our perspective, us being people, we hear that a lot. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, in the empathy of this company, it has to take time. Some things have to develop. You have to develop these wrestlers in order to get them in certain places. And unfortunately, the people who we have, well, it's not even unfortunately because it's helping our business, but the names that we have in the main card right now are putting more eyes on our product, so that when it comes time for someone like myself or like a Will Hobbs or like a Lee Johnson or Kiera Hogan or, you know, a Jay Cargill, when they finally get in the spotlight, there's so many eyes on it that it becomes undeniable. You know what I'm saying? So I can't put a time frame on when those things will happen, but it's gonna happen. You know, it's undeniable. It has to happen.
So could I just ask this though? Like I do agree with what you're saying. I do think that some people may not have understood the place you were coming from with it, and saying that, look, I'm also here trying to help. Like it's a process, we're working. But I also feel like Swole is coming from a unique place, because it's not just that, you know, she's trying to be represented as a black person, but it's also, you know, the intersect of, you know, the women, you know, trying to fight for time. And so her, you know, her experience is unique in that sense, because she's speaking
Correct.
as a black woman. And so, you know, I get it. And I would just ask, like, you know, maybe could there have been a better way to, you know, say how you felt about it, and, you know, say that also, like, I'm leaving room for her experience to exist. Like, and not to say that I think that you know, diminished her experience, but, you know, I feel like that's what some people were bothered by.
Yeah, and I get that, and that's why I said afterwards was that I'm not trying to devalue. And I even text Swole, and Swole actually texted me back this morning, no hard feelings or anything like that, and she understood where I was coming from, and I understand where she's coming from. You know, I do not, in my evaluation of what I said, want to devalue anything that she said or take away from what she said, because that's her experience, and I've seen her experience some of the things that she's talking about, and me and her have talked about those things. So I'm not devaluing anything that she's saying. You know, me on what I was speaking on was just clearly from me trying to put out there that, hey, I'm in here trying to help create some of the change that you want to see.
Right.
And I don't want to take away from what she said, because that is her feeling, and she's entitled to that feeling just like anybody else is entitled to feel how they feel. I don't never want to take that away from anything or anything that she has going on or that she's trying to say. But I also want to put out there that I'm definitely trying to be some of that, be a part of that change. You know what I'm saying? From what I do on screen, behind the scenes, in the community, all that stuff. I'm trying to make sure that we're represented and doing things to represent us in the best light possible.
Agreed.
Yeah. You know, I feel like because I think that's ultimately the issue here, and I think where the disconnect is happening is that it is Swole's experience is Swole's experience. Nobody can take that from her. You can't necessarily tell somebody that their experience wasn't their experience, right? And maybe there are elements of it that can't be, right. That, you know, the ultimate I guess point of contention from the tweet is that she's saying that she left for these reasons. He says actually we chose not to re-sign her for these reasons. So once again, that's one of those things. That's pretty much the only piece that can otherwise be debated. But the problem is that was put out there in response to her overall experience, and I think that's where everybody is upset, because of the fact that it kind of dismisses everything else. Because there is so much of what was said there, what was said in the interview that not the interview, in her podcast, that was said in the podcast that Jeremy transcribed. Shout out to Transcription King Jeremy. But there's so much that was said there that when isolated simply as a, well, we let her go, suddenly that diminishes everything else that was trying to be said there, and I can see why that kind of sent people up into an uproar, and I feel like it's valid that it did so. The topic though of because you got a big backlash last night, Sean, which I felt was, again, just kind of unfounded, just in the sense that you are doing the work behind the scenes, and a lot of people don't see the path, and I feel like and I will say this, I said this to Tony yesterday, that a lot of times people do need to see the path, and what I mean by that is that we'll take the start of AEW, for example. When AEW launched, Chris Jericho was world champion, right? Jon Moxley was the next champion. Jon Moxley was champion nearly a year. But one of the things that we all knew as fans, and I'm not just talking about some idiots who are like, oh, they're underutilizing Kenny Omega. Like, we didn't take them people seriously, right? But, and we know we heard that. But we knew as fans, as we watched, we saw Kenny Omega, we knew he was up next, right? We just knew it while we were watching. You could feel it. It didn't matter if he was the champion or not. It didn't even matter if he competed on that show. We knew Kenny Omega was up next. While Kenny Omega was champion, even before Kenny Omega was champion, we also knew Hangman Adam Page was up next. We knew that, right? We're sitting here watching, without a doubt, MJF is up next. You just know it while you're watching, right? You know Bryan Danielson's gonna get it. You know that. And the thing is, as far as the women's division is concerned, from the moment she showed up, you knew Jade Cargill was gonna get it and get it real soon, right? So, like, we've seen it. But I think where the disconnect exists with fans is that all of those names I named on the male side of things are white names. And it feels like, and it's not to diminish any talent in AEW, because I think the talent in AEW, I think the talent pool, little known fact, AEW kind of has the biggest black roster on television currently. And so, like, not diminishing any of the talent there, right? Because between Dante Martin is killing it. Will Hobbs is one of the best in the. I love Will Hobbs. I love watching Will Hobbs. Ricky Starks. Lee Moriarty is the best technical artist out there right now. There's so much great talent there, and I feel like fans kind of need their hand held in knowing who's up next, the same way that they had their hand held in knowing that Kenny was up next and knowing that Adam Page is up next. It's not necessarily that there needs to be a black world champion right now, because you're right. It is going to take time. We know it's going to take time as fans. I think where the disconnect happens is that people want to at least know that it's coming and know where it's coming from and feel like it's coming. And people have felt that, some love her, some hate her. And the more they hate her, the bigger she grows, right? But people knew that Jade Cargill was up next. People knew that it's coming for her, right? And you can feel it. You can feel it every time she's on camera, every time she speaks, in her presentation, in the way JR talks about her, in the way Tony Schiavone talks about her. She is up next. And I feel like a big piece of what I, as a black viewer of AEW, feel is missing is just that little bit of hand holding of who's next. Who is gonna, like, potentially this person could be world champion, and that goes right along with what I was saying. So how do you play along to that, Cap? Like, how do you feel about that?
I agree with that in a sense. I think that, like you said, for those reasons where you have, like you said, you can see who's up next. You can see it, and then, like, Will Hobbs, he's featured in certain storylines, then he's not, then he's featured in, and I get it. We're looking for that consistency where we can have more of that screen time. And in a perfect world, I would like to see like Dark Elevation used to where we can advance and have more of a storyline based, wrestling on those shows, and I think that those are things that can possibly happen in the future, that can happen this year, it just has to all make sense in the grand scheme. I think if we throw Will in the storyline with Brian, it'd be a great storyline, and it could be something that can set up, that can continue to build him up. I think every storyline he's been in so far has built him up to set him up as a contender in the future. Mark Henry is somebody who I champion myself as like a mentor for me, and he explained to me that before he became world champion, he had only won 5 matches in 1 year before he won the world championship.
Wow.
So it's just certain things like that happen, and it happens out of nowhere. You think that you're on this losing streak, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're the world champion. So that's one of the things that I really take away, that I listen to when I think about how we're putting ourselves in these storylines and want to get more screen time, is that when your number is called, we just all got to be ready, And I think that Will is one of those people that's on the cusp of just being ready. Ricky Starks, I also think that he's ready, and I think that in this year, a lot of big things are going to happen, for those people, for the Jays and for the Rickies and for the Wills, and then all the up and comers that we have, the Dante and Darius Martin is about to come back off injury soon. So you have a lot of people who are in contention, who are.
We're ready for that.
I needed to hear that almost.
Yeah, definitely. We've been trying.
That's the scoop.
Everyone's like, "Where's Darius? Where's Darius?" I'm like, "Yo, I'm wondering too, my bro."
Oh
man, so real quick though, like just based off of that though, and just in relation to the tweet, like I can see why. Because if Will's right, like, and just people want to see the path to it, and they want to trust, like. I feel like there's a certain amount of trust in knowing, like he said, that Kenny Omega is going to be just fine, or that certain, white wrestlers are going to be just fine, or even like someone like the Lucha Bros. Like, the Lucha Bros were eventually going to get their time. Like,
right.
And I mean, I think you can say the same thing with Thunder Rosa. Like, it hasn't happened yet, but Thunder Rosa is going to eventually get her moment.
Yeah. I don't think there's anybody that feels like Thunder Rosa's underutilized. Yeah.
Right. And so I think in relationship to this tweet, again, I think a big part of it, and me and Will, and we all talked about this before we hopped on, is that Swole is such a big part of the wrestling community when it comes to Black people. And so when he comes out and attacks her like that, and even if he didn't mean it as an attack, just the way that it looked, it feels like he's kind of coming at the rest of the community, and we're all looking at it like, yo, if he can do that to her, what would stop him from doing that to somebody else? Like,
she's Auntie Swole. Like, she has a place in the community.
It's like the big thing is that, and props to Swole for that. She absolutely, her presence. A lot of her presence is her involvement in the community. Big Swole is a part of this community. She talks to fans. She interacts with fans. She blocks fans, and rightfully so, right? But like, she is a part of the community to the point of where a lot of people would see any type of attack on her or any type of defense against her experience as an attack on the entire community, because Big Swole is so involved in things.
And I think that kind of raised the question for Tony of whether he realizes it or not. Like, I feel like you're going to have to like do something to fix that. Like, you're gonna have to regain people's trust after that, because I do feel like people are gonna look at this now like, I don't know, man. Like, if he come at Swole like that, how do I know I can go there and get a fair shake? And that's kind of a valid, that's a valid thing to be asking yourself right now.
I mean, whatever he has planned, that's why I haven't talked to him about, what his next course of action is after this. But I'm sure it would be something.
And I told Tony, by the way, I've told him twice now that the invitation is still open. I've told him very recently, the invitation is still open to come talk to us on the show. And I am saying right now, because I know you're watching, Tony, that it is still out there.
Oh man!
Happy New Year! Yeah,
Happy New Year.
I'll say this. I didn't
Jeez.
think the new year would start like this, but I mean, it's stuff that need to be talked about, man. It needs to be
Right.
said. Because I get it, man. It's like, you had this PTSD from, the other place, where it took so long. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
you don't want that, especially in a company where you have a lot of minorities, a lot of good minority talent that's out there, and I say minorities, and I talk about, not just us as black people, but we have a great, just a super diverse roster of just all amazing talent. All elite is like the key phrase for it, because we have a lot of elite players back there. And I think, man, as time goes on, we're gonna continue to keep cooking, And again, this was a unfortunate situation that happened, because I think it took away from what he was trying to get across in the beginning of his tweet. But having spent a lot of time with TK, and this is, what I'm gonna say, one thing that I hate is that when you try to talk good about somebody, it comes off as like you're trying to shuck and jive
Hmm.
or coon and
Oh,
shit
we
like
know.
that.
Oh
Yep.
yeah,
We
man.
know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
For one, and I'm gonna say that, man, that shit really pisses me off, because I've
Yep.
never been that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Big
where I come
facts.
from, I don't do shit like that, because I dealt with a lot of bullshit when I was in the military and a lot of bullshit when I got out. So when I genuinely talk nice about somebody, it's because I genuinely talk nice about somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's not coming from any place about trying to keep a job or doing some shit for a check. That's not what this is about. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's from me spending time with TK on a personal level and understanding him as a person. You know what I'm saying? So I think that when he tweeted that out, it just came from a place of him trying to say something, but not really getting across the words on how he wanted to say, on how he really felt. And could he have took
Hmm.
time and put it out a different way? Sure, he could have. You know what I'm saying? That's his opinion, and he put it out there at that time. And if we can go back and take away a lot of the shit that we've done, I'm sure a lot of us will go back and do that.
Hmm.
But I have faith in him as a human being, as a friend, and as a boss, that he's going to make right on what he feel like he's been that he did wrong. Uh, but uh, I just really don't want our community to give up on a product or to look at it any differently behind that. I think that if we continue to just keep watching the product and just seeing the things that's going to happen in this coming year, that I think we'll all be pleased with how things will turn out.
They definitely hit you with the Kanye after you put that tweet up. Like, man, you ain't got the answers, Sean. You ain't
Yeah.
got the answers. Um,
How Sway? How Sway?
how?
Yeah.
And no, so no, man, we definitely appreciate you coming on. And
Yeah, I
I mean,
really,
Definitely.
really appreciate you.
Hmm.
Thank you for stopping in. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that. And I'm
No,
happy
I
you
mean, it was
did.
supposed to be a 2 weeks. We're supposed to talk
Yeah.
about some
hey,
some more stuff, but yeah. Oh, and just to go back to, because I know I kind of get off of it, but yeah, like I do those bits on the blog where I talk shit to the extras and all that stuff, and but I mean, that's just a character I play on my real role that I do backstage. So
Hmm.
yeah, I am the extra coordinator. Again, like I said, I help book the extra and the talent, and I'm also part of the community outreach team, to where I go into the different communities, and we talk to a lot of the kids in the community. And that's another point that I want to make too about the diversity, man, is that when I go to these cities, and I don't do I try not to we try not to do big organizations. I try to find small organizations that's close to that city that we go to. And one of the key things that I really like doing, if we can, is like I like doing it on a Tuesday, to where I can go to like an inner city urban area, to like a school, like I did in New York. Went to a place called New York Edge, or when we was in Miami, went to that school with the Jason Taylor Foundation. Or me and Mark Henry, we went to Cincinnati, we went to an alternative high school to talk to these kids. That's the kind of stuff that I feel like is an impact, because then they can
Hmm.
see a person like myself, a person like Mark Henry, Eddie Kingston, or Isaiah, all those guys who are minority people who are making it in an industry that they probably think is, I'm saying, for lack of better words, a joke, or that they can't make it in, that they can make it in, and that we come from the same slums or the gutter that they came out of, and that they can make it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think is the most impactful thing that I can do, is in putting eyes on a product, is to show that where we come from, you can make it here too. You know what I'm saying? That it's possible. That you don't
Right.
have to go this route or that route. That you can come this route. You know what I'm saying? And that's key for me too. That I want to point out with what I'm doing backstage.
Well, and the thing I wanted to give you the ultimate props for, and I think the point people were missing from your tweet and what you were trying to get across, is that AEW and professional wrestling as a whole has always been an industry. Maybe the last 10 years kind of weren't, but has always kind of been an industry kind of built on its future and built on the next set of stars. And that, and you are in a place right now, you are in a position to get that next generation in front of the camera in order to get them to proceed, to get people to get eyes on them, to want to see them move. And the fact that it is a black man who is doing that, and a black man who is doing that with eyes on other black talent, is a good thing, and that is gonna get the future going. And like you gave, you acknowledged that it's not just AEW, right? That the WWE tryout had people that you scouted, and so right now you are in one of the best positions to get black talent seen, and you are a part of that company. And so I got what you were saying with that. And I got, and I think, again, you can't just see things through the lens of 240 characters. Like, put some human emotion behind things, recognize the humanity of certain things. And I recognize I'm one of a billion people, and I'm not going to make that change here today. I would love to. I would love to get back to having conversations about things and actual conversations, because that's one place I feel like Twitter Spaces has been good for, right? Is that, you know, we can argue behind sometimes yes. You know, we can argue behind tweets and throw tweets at each other and try to just make sure our point is made. But having actual conversations, to me, is where it exists, and that is why I'm so happy that Sean is here, that we are able to talk about this. And
Sean, I just want to say thank you for coming in, and importantly, I'm very sorry to your inbox after this, because so many black wrestlers hit me up saying, how do I get an AEW? How do I get an AEW? The answer is here. I wash my hands of this. I'm just going to direct them to Grapsody.
Send them away, man.
The captain is your man. That's the one.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem, guys.
We're happy to have you here.
Appreciate you, Captain.
I appreciate you guys, man. I'll see you guys out there, man.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right, man.
Whew. Wow.
Whew.
There you go.
Surprise, guys.
That's how you do it.
Look at that.
Grapsody boys do it. I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, Phil was not expecting to do an interview today, I guess. I wasn't.
we definitely were not. But I do appreciate him, you know, kind of, you know, standing in front of the criticism that came his way, and then coming back and talking about it in a very, you know, constructive and professional way.
Right.
Because I think that's the only way that we can, you know, really move forward and get things done. Like, just raging at each other and, you know, being offended because somebody misses a point doesn't really fix anything.
And that's why I wanted to have the captain on, because I saw a lot of his quote tweets and a lot of people saying some very awful things. But it's like, no, this guy is doing a crazy thing in this company. He's doing a lot for a lot of people that I champion myself. A lot of people on my list, Sean Dean's looking at this list. A lot of people, it's like I'm directly influenced by these people. So I appreciate everything. I know he's doing something bigger for the future. So, like, you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to take some time out because, my God, we are flooded right now. I hope I can even get to all of them.
Oh my goodness. That was the one, huh?
God. All right.
I want to say to the fans, legit, Will and Phil didn't know about this. I talked to the captain last night, and we were just like, maybe it'll happen. And today, before the podcast started, Will sent me the link, and I sent it to the captain, and I said, hey, if you want to hop in, just hop in. And
you could have warned me.
I don't do it like that.
I saw Sean Dean's face pop up at the bottom in the waiting room, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're just doing this. All right.
Spontaneous, man. Spontaneous.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Who can give it to you like this? I can give it to you, but what you gonna do with it?
That is why Reg is my dude. Shout out, Reg.
Man,
all right. Let's read some super chats. There's a lot of them. So we got Tyrell So happy to have you guys to listen to today, but I hate the reason it has to happen. Going to the Newark show and almost don't want to go anymore.
I get it. Yeah, I've been
that
I was
sucks.
seeing a lot of that last night of people saying I'm not gonna watch AEW. So we're gonna, we'll see.
Easy Attack says, I feel y'all's pain. I thought we was going to be taking this weekend off. Also, I got so many thoughts from Chris.
Hey. Shout out to Chris, by the way.
Yeah. He was saying some funny things in a group chat I'm in with them about all the situations. So
Hey, man.
Shout out to Chris.
Shout out to Chris and NWA Podcast.
Those are the homies.
The big homie Nate. Of course, friend of the show, Andrew Thompson. Big shout out to those guys.
Drew.
Now, here we got Real Take Sports. He says, as somebody who comes from a Pakistani family, it's upsetting for TK to use his race as a defense rather than being better. Big shout out to Swole.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I can as well. Like I said, I recognize it. I recognize because I'm a just big believer. It's what my mom taught me. That a big part of winning any type of argument is hearing your opponent or hearing where they're coming from and understanding is a big part of coming to a solution. So again, I fully understand when somebody who has spent their life as a minority, who has been called slurs themselves, who had to deal with the aftermaths of things like 9/11 and things like that, feel like they have their experience invalidated. Fully understand that. I actually do. I don't know that bringing it up necessarily in response to somebody else's fight is the way to go.
Not it. Yeah.
No, that's not necessarily
that's not it.
I think there's a time and place for all of it. And again, I just feel like
I think that's where we got with it. There's just a time and a place for all this.
Right.
Not on Twitter.
And I mean, look, there's a place to talk about, his experiences as well. But I think the important thing that he missed yesterday is that he needed to listen. And I think that he listened to her.
Right.
And he should know that as a person in his position. Like, all he does is listen to wrestlers and stuff. So that's pretty much it.
Toon77 says, if I, as a middle-aged white guy, can understand Swole's feelings as her valid experience, how can TK miss the mark so badly? It's not that hard. Jojo says, first time watching you guys, we'll be tuning in more. Thank you, Jojo. Got new member King Omega.
Appreciate you, King.
Wrestle Voice says, sadly, people are going to use what should be a positive change to push their agenda for other arguments. See the armpits of Twitter. We already saw it.
It happens.
Alexander says, Swole identify real problems with the creative process for women and BIPOC talent that need more structure.
There's also a big conversation to be had about women's. Like, Swole is like not only just a women's wrestler, she's a black women's wrestler. So women's wrestlers are already below. Black women's wrestlers are even below that. So there's like, it's tough.
I would really challenge people that don't understand everything she said. Listen to her whole podcast. Don't read the excerpts. Go and listen to her podcast and listen to everything she says. Listen to the glowing things she said about the women and how hard they're working and how some of them are just frustrated that they're not quite yet there yet.
Right.
And so, you just got to get the full scope of what she's saying.
And I would just want to read the last part. He says, the comments about Asian, Hispanic, and Indian wrestlers felt like a broader comment about the industry. And again, it is. I'm not necessarily sure if that was time or place. We got Nathan says, shout out to you guys for having a space like this for rational wrestling fans to listen and discuss the issue. Tony is a fool and did so much damage with that tweet. Says, peace, my dudes. Happy New Year's. I feel like Tony reacted to the headline. Swole did not deserve that ridiculous response. That is
for sure.
Also,
shout out to Eloquent too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Happy New Year, my bro.
Jay Blood says, pitting marginalized groups against each other to have a take is not it. It makes you blind. Keep this in mind, everybody.
Facts.
That's absolutely correct.
Alexander again says TK should be above the sniping, even though his response was factual. It did not need to exist. Swole made a bunch of great points, but undermined it by co-signing tokenism as the answer at the end.
I also want to say this because I have seen several people say that it's not wrong of him to say that her wrestling wasn't good enough. That is just inconsequential to what she said. If her point is that she's not if her criticisms of the company don't have anything to do with whether she is or isn't good in wrestling. And I commented at one point, one of the few things I commented, and I was like, look, you know, she's good enough and we're going to leave it at that. And somebody was like, why leave it at that? Because I just feel like getting into a debate of whether or not she's good enough is not the point. And it's
not about
absolutely
that.
not the point.
Yeah.
Guys, I spent a big part of my last week defending my take that Randy Orton is not good. Look,
Right.
man, the idea that somebody is good is subjective.
That's
it is
so
absolutely
subjective. And the thing about the whole thing is she made it bigger than herself. She didn't say, this is how I feel.
Exactly.
She said, I feel as a whole, this is what's going on. It was not about Swole. It's about the whole thing. So remember that.
T. Daniel Barber says, Happy New Year's, guys. Here's some extra money for the extra pod.
We appreciate that a lot.
Eloquent said, also, those 4 ladies put out a banger of a tag match last night.
Yeah, I need to watch that. I was kind of had a bad taste in my mouth at last night, so I didn't see it.
I sadly didn't watch it too. I heard it was a good match, you know. Again, like I am a big supporter of women's wrestling, and I don't think that Swole would have wanted to see people turn against the women that are in the ring. You still should support the women so that they get more time. Like if you support what she stood for, I don't think the response to that is to, you know, try to drag women that are also just trying to do their job.
Right.
I'm curious what this meant here, but Mike says the assumption is more male white fans are interested in wrestling than any other demo. Would that be true if stories were written aimed at other demos, and what would that look like?
Yeah. No, he's saying that like a Tony Khan and all promoters are assuming that they're marketing towards white fans, and so they book their shows like that. Would it change if they stopped booking them like that? If they stopped gearing it towards white wrestling fans? That's pretty much what he's saying. And I agree, Mike. Yeah.
And I do think that that's a very valid question. I do think that for a long time, wrestling has not tried to market to black fans.
Right.
And I feel like that is a larger conversation to have. And it's not just that they don't market to black fans. Like, I feel like you can have that conversation with other minorities as well.
Yeah.
And I think that also goes back to, you know, something I've said on this show several times. You got to support the wrestlers, man, because if you support the wrestlers, they know that the demand is there.
That's it.
And listen, I said also a few episodes back, like, none of these companies love us, man. They're companies. We are customers. Yeah. Your job as a customer is to let this company know we want something. So, you know, you gotta support the wrestlers, man.
Yeah.
I am so glad that we got to be the Saturday podcast here to have this discussion. Because, look, I'm gonna start off by saying this. Because I had a resolution last year. It was kind of middle of the year resolution, but it's definitely my New Year's resolution. And that is that I am 100%, I told Sean this the other day, I am 100% done having beef with people. I don't have beef. I ain't got beef with nobody. Promise you. If you got beef with me, you're beefing with yourself. But I have beef with nobody. However, I do, because right now I'm only ever going to have beef with takes. I'm only ever going to have beef with your ideas, and the reason I say that is because ideas and takes can change, and I am willing to accept that people can change their ideas, and that now, granted, if all your ideas are just I'm an asshole, it's gonna take some convincing. Right. But for the most part, I ain't got beef with nobody, especially in the wrestling community, especially in the black wrestling community. No beef with anybody. Like I said, you got beef with me, beefing with yourself. But as far as I'm concerned, got no beef with anything but ideas. So ideas that I do have a beef with just happen to be the idea that, because I knew this would happen, right? Having this conversation was going to, the moment all of this happened, it took it the only place this could go. AEW versus WWE.
Yeah.
Only place that conversation is ever going to go, right? And so, of course, this comes up. It's immediately WWE is Wakanda. That is...
please don't do that.
But you know I'm right? Like that is the take out there, right?
Oh God.
And so again, and I hear it from, and this is where the diversity conversation has to define itself, because I've seen the arguments being had, right? Where like somebody said, see, this is why WWE is more diverse, because they got Big E as world champion,
I
right?
saw that
But
too,
then,
and it's like,
right,
nah,
but then
you're
somebody
not
said
really
that,
going
right?
there.
But then the comment immediately under was from somebody Asian who was like, but what about jacket time? That's the most offensive thing I've ever seen in my life. And you're like, but you're willing to accept that they're more diverse because they get black representation, right? But
See? Diversity.
yeah, and they're like, but as an Asian person, I feel like Akira Tozawa is a comedy
He's a
character.
ninja, bro.
Yeah, and like,
Yeah.
and so when I saw that, like, that was a little bit eye opening. I saw that around like 3 a.m. and I wish I could find the tweet. I've been up a long time. And so I saw that tweet, right, and that kind of put into perspective for me, again, just like kind of understanding of you, because all of a sudden, again, the diversity conversation, when you simply say there is no diversity, then all of a sudden minority groups kind of start getting pitted against each other.
Exactly.
I don't want to see that. Like,
We do
at the
not
end of the
need
day,
that.
I don't want to see that at all.
We all in the same gang.
And so again, what I want the conversation to center around is black representation.
Right.
Because I don't want to dismiss other minority groups who, in one regard, are getting what they want, or in other regards, aren't getting what they want.
Right.
So that's how I feel on that particular topic, and that's why I'm like, don't do that. Don't just simply don't cape for one because of one's issues, because all of a sudden it's gonna muddy the waters, and that's you don't want that.
Brownie points do not, fix this. Giving WWE brownie points for doing things does not fix the entire issue.
Right.
This is an industry-wide issue, and if we're gonna have a real conversation about it, we need to have a real conversation.
Right.
And to that point, if you are mad about Big Swole, support her where she goes. Don't just be mad at AEW because they didn't do what you want to see done with her. If you do feel like that she was done wrong here, support her at that Fight Club Pro show.
Boom,
Support her
boom.
on Black Wrestling Matters.
Boom, boom.
Like, support
Battle
what she's
Club
doing.
Pro.
Thank you. Like, support what she's doing outside
and she's
of
facing
this.
Trish Adora. Like,
Exactly. So, support what she's doing while I'm trying to knock my laptop off to death.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, we got some more super chats to read, probably a lot more. We got Nathan says, hell yeah, shout out to Chicago.
We some true Chi-Town steppers.
Yes. Jacob says, just tuning in. Thank y'all for saving my Saturday morning with awesome content. Thanks for the show. It don't even feel like Saturday morning because last night was such a New Year, right?
Yeah.
And it's snowing outside. It says, blessing to y'all and happy New Year. Let's see, what else do we got? And I've got to get over to the Humper chats as well.
It's Liddy.
Yes. And Kate says, I'm so perplexed because it seems like they're working on the things she pointed out. Also hiding here after going mini viral. Happy New Year, guys.
Shout out to Kate.
Yeah, shout
out to Kate indeed.
Irene says, all minorities tend to equate diversity with their own representation and no one else. It's a deep convo for this that Twitter can't properly host. That's really it. And that's why I feel like diversity is
100%
is not necessarily the right word you want to use.
It's not.
Because again,
it covers a whole lot.
It covers a whole lot. And I'm not here. I'm only here right now to talk to the Black experience because that's the experience I have.
That's what I know.
And I'm not here to dismiss anybody else's experience.
Never.
And the one thing you'll never catch me doing, if you do it, shout out to you, whatever. But the one thing you can't catch me doing, just because I'm not that guy, is that I can't use my experience and my plight to diminish yours.
Right.
I'm never going to try and make somebody feel like they didn't have one because I did.
Right.
Because I think it's valid. And that's the conversation for diversity. But I ain't talking about diversity. I'm talking about Black representation.
Yo, somebody was tweeting about talking about light skins and Black. I'm like, let Will handle that one. I can't.
Yeah, and again, see, and then, hey,
I'm a dark
first
skinned
off,
boy. I don't know what you want from me.
First off, what's funny is I get that a lot because everybody's like, oh yeah, Will's the light skinned dude on the show. First off, a big piece of that is my lighting. because I just happen to have this big ass ring light and this big ass light screen. Because literally, if you turn all this shit off,
like I didn't get a ring light, so I could be extra black. What's up?
I'm only slightly lighter than Phil, but
I'm gonna turn the lights off in this room.
But by comparison, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, the light skinned dude." When they're talking about Will. Anyway,
hey, don't do that. Y'all know how light skinned people are. They're sensitive.
The beige meter jumping up. All right, Envy. All right.
Yeah. So, still coming through reading super chats. Because again,
there's a million.
There's a million.
No one expected this.
Shanika. Hey, Shanika. Mostly lurking today, but just wanted to say thank you for having a grown folks conversation like grown folks. Hey, we grown folks.
Hey.
Love y'all and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too.
Let's see. I see some arguing going on in the chat. Let's see. I see here we got David says, big time love and respect to you all in the new year. Thank you for this much needed conversation, maturity, respect, and dignity, all firmly intact.
Appreciate that.
Says, you guys are excellent. That perspective up next was eye-opening. This is honestly an excellent discussion, an example of how we should talk. And again, everybody's welcome here. I do want to put out there, we also did invite Big Swole on the show.
Hey, and I would like to say this, because I do think like sometimes people are like, oh, well, if we all come to the conversation respectfully, then we'll all be heard. Hey, man, sometimes you got to bang on that door, man. Like, if it's the Pac quote, like, sometimes, you keep banging on the door. We are hungry. We need some food. Like, at some point, man, it's not that anymore.
We're kicking the door in.
We're kicking the door in, man. So, listen, like, sometimes it doesn't matter how well that, you say something. People are just not going to listen. And I feel like that says everything to how Big Swole addressed this, because she didn't come in a disrespectful way. Everything she said was respectful. It was well intentional.
It was just everything was too on the money of things we've seen before. You say something and they make you the angry black person. And
that's absolutely what happened.
Sadly, that's what happened here. They put it on Leo. They put it on Darius Lockhart. Like, it's just like, it's such a terrible situation of what happened here.
And can I talk about one little piece that I feel gets a little overlooked here? And this is where I really feel like Tony messed up here. He, in this process, undid his biggest piece of goodwill. And that is that because you can't have the conversation again, because this is going to come up.
All right.
But the thing Tony Khan undid was the conversation about releases and not releasing anybody in a pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
So, because my point here is that taking this all at face value, let's say that's all true. Tony Khan in AEW chose not to pursue Big Swole any longer. They chose to let her go. And Big Swole feels that it was a little more mutual, but ultimately, if it was the case, that she was indeed let go, it was more to his benefit, in my opinion, to let her have that, to save the face of being able to say that I haven't released anybody. Look, this was a mutual decision. She walked away, and that's that. But by getting defensive over that and then saying, well, no, you didn't walk away from us, we walked away from you. Now, all of a sudden, this now brings up the conversation. And granted, she was not released from her contract. And I'm not here saying she was released from her contract, but I am here saying that a lot of people aren't going to recognize the difference. You now publicly said there was a talent I did not want anymore, and we let her go. And now the entire conversation about I didn't release anybody in the pandemic doesn't exist anymore. And the thing is, you could talk about the semantics of all that because there are obviously semantics to it. It is a lot more than I didn't release somebody from a 1-year contract, I didn't release somebody who was in a 3-year contract 1 year into it. Yes, we know that. But again, the optics.
Yeah,
That was
Optics
the
are
biggest
bad.
piece of goodwill of the
Yeah,
year.
it's
pretty
That
much
was the
it.
biggest. That was
Optics,
the biggest
man.
piece of goodwill of the year, and I feel like it's undone.
Optics.
Yeah, and I just to what you said, like just the pettiness of coming back and going, oh well, you have all of these valid criticisms. Well, we let you go anyway because you weren't good enough to wrestle here. Like, nah, that ain't it.
That's not it.
That ain't it.
That's not
Yeah.
it.
Now, continuing on, Irene says TK was publicly disrespectful to a very respected member of the black wrestling community. It's a problem he's going to have to solve now. That's the big thing. Is
That's
that
a huge thing.
regardless of anybody behind the scenes, anybody in the locker room, backstage, the fact is, as far as the fans were concerned, she was a part of the community, and that's going to be a really hard one to undo. And I would be kind of impressed if you could.
Yeah.
So Tremaine says, so glad Sean showed up today. Respect.
The
So
captain.
am I. The captain. Man, shout out to Sean Dean again.
That was cool.
Yeah, he didn't have to do that, and I'm really glad he did.
If he wants to come back in 2 weeks, he's
Yeah,
more
he
than welcome.
still could be
Still welcome
booked
to
for
come
the 22nd.
Yes. And Hannah says, stop using Nyla as your bingo on your diversity card. Let that
Facts.
woman be.
And stop using
that
Luchasaurus
is true,
too.
but I will also say to that, because I kept saying for the longest time, stop saying that this woman is not a black woman, because she is.
That too, though.
And I kept telling people, because I made sure when I interviewed her a year ago to get the quote directly from her so people know she is a black woman. So don't erase her blackness just because you want to, also be like, oh, well, they've never done anything with black women. Like, but at the same time, one black woman as champion doesn't mean that there's not a problem here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see. Wrestle Vibes with Ravenblade says, thank you for having this discussion. I'm annoyed with TK, and even though this won't stop me, get me to stop watching, this is strike one. Happy New Year. You know what solves this problem? Going back to Phil, support wrestlers, not wrestling companies. Support what you want to see, and then you don't necessarily run into this issue. If pro wrestling, if you have a company doing what you want to see, support that, but don't necessarily find yourself going, well, this company don't do any of what I want to see, but I support it just because. Like,
I will say that there's kind of become this very unhealthy relationship with wrestling companies and the owners, and I think for a while, because he seemed like he replied to a lot of stuff on Twitter and he listens to a lot of stuff online, that it's like Tony's among us, he's one of us, and it's like, listen guys, he's still an owner of a company, he's still a billionaire, he ain't your friend, man. Like, and it's like, you can appreciate certain things he does without trying to make this like familiar parasocial relationship with this guy. Like, you don't know this guy.
that kind of is the underlying issue here, though, is that I think because for the longest time, I've keep in mind, I've been in the internet wrestling community. How old am I? Oh my God, 22 years, right? I have been on message boards for a long time, right? I registered my first account when I was 13. I was the game, and I had a Triple H avatar, and like, I have been on IWC for a really long time. I've been on message boards. I was on message boards with Tony Khan, right? So like, it's been really, really, really long time. And I think a big piece of this is that, and unknowingly, by the way, it's one of those like retroactive, like, wait, that user was Tony Khan on DVD. Are you fucking serious? But anyway, but the funny thing, so the thing I see about this is he does very much view himself as a part of the community. And I think that's the piece that he missed yesterday, is that what Swole did at its core, let's take away any deeper meanings behind anything. At her core, what was posted to Fightful, transcribed by Jeremy, was sorry, I'm just doing that to pop and correct and laugh on the bottom. But I think anyway. So what was posted to Fightful? Tantamount to a Glassdoor review.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Walmart can't then come back and be like, well, we actually saw you taking extra bags home. So, it don't matter what your experience was with your managers, Walmart's not going to do that, right?
And Keisha, she's a great bagger. We have a great time. But like,
man, we saw you stealing boxes. No.
Yeah, come on, man.
But you can't do that, right? Like, officially, they're no longer the friend. They are the power. And they have to approach situations like the power.
And and these people that are with the WWE and AEW thing, if they weren't putting fake quotes on Vince McMahon's fake birthday shout outs on there, if this man was really tweeting, do you know what he would be saying? Do you know what he would be saying when you're trying to shoot some bail for him over there, a 75-year-old man? Do you know what he would be tweeting if he was really tweeting? Let's just keep it there and let's go there.
But I think a big piece of this is that there's power now, Tony. There's power there, and people see Tony Khan as the power in AEW, and that when he tweets something, it's no longer just his personal opinion. Maybe he doesn't think Big Swole's that good, but the problem is he's now authoritatively speaking on behalf of All Elite Wrestling that I don't think that All Elite Wrestling doesn't think Big Swole is that good, and I feel like. Yeah. Again, imagine a Glassdoor review getting posted, and in response to somebody's review, they then come out and say, "Well, actually, you weren't that good." So, and all they're talking about is the environment. They weren't even talking about you, and they actually ended it by saying, "Hey, me and my manager were cool." So again,
that's the wild part. She said, "Thank you, TK. That was cool." And he was like,
man,
nah.
that is crazy. And to your analogy, that's like if somebody they come back and like, no. We saw you stealing boxes. You put you hung the tissue in an improper fashion.
Yeah.
No.
Like, yo.
Yeah. Now, granted, like I said, they, in that same analogy, the employer is within their rights to have seen the situation differently.
Yeah.
Yes. But they're also in a responsibility to the public to kind of let that shit go.
Right.
Because going again with the Glassdoor analogy, this is not the last person who's going to leave AEW, and likely not the last person who's going to leave AEW with a not so positive experience. I guess I could very much see, and I'm not saying I know anything, by the way. I'm just like, no, but like, just look at the way everything's going, right? Like, I could very much see just in a couple of months, the way this went, like, what, Brian Cage wasn't really that good anyway, right? Like,
yeah. All it comes down to is Tony Khan. You don't have to respond to every single thing that people say about you or your company. Just say that Rampage is coming on Friday, and we're gonna
Rampage
watch
at
it.
8.
That's it, man. You don't have to. You don't have to engage. We know you are part. You've been here for a long time. But like some things you could just be hands off with, my bro. That's it. Just book those dope matches. Let me have a good time on Wednesday and Friday nights and sometimes Saturday nights. And that's pretty much it, man. It did not have to be here. Could have just all been avoided by just skipping over it. It's been fine. Really how I want to leave it is you don't have to show me anything. Any promoter in the world, you don't have to show me shit. I mean, you don't have to prove anything to me. You have to show me. Show me what you're gonna do. Show me that black wrestlers are going to be represented. You don't have to say, "Oh well, hey, we have this." No, just keep showing me. Keep proving that this is what's going on. I don't care about all these times and quotes and numbers. No, just show me. When they say show me, they mean Dynamite. So put some black people on Dynamite, bro. Put some black people on Rampage.
Like, I recognize that by this time next week, we'll be talking about the new TBS champion, Jake Cargill. And
we'll be talking about the new AEW world champion, Bryan Danielson, too. So,
but like, we'll be talking about Jake Cargill as champ, right? And like, that's a huge win, and I anticipate the conversation. Watch this space. You're gonna look at Twitter. You're gonna see people go, "Oh, well, this is just in response to blah blah." Even though you knew from day one she was gonna win.
Like,
Everybody
no
knew
one's
from day one.
surprised.
I mean, if you follow my
Yeah.
tweets, I've been
You
saying
know what?
from day one. Come on.
I already have it like in my drafts of like the moment the TBS title was hinted when it was rumored. I said, "Oh, it's for Jade Cargill."
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember
and I
that.
said, "Remember this tweet." Jade Cargill is going to win that TBS championship. And before it was even announced, that was just when Andrew Zarian dropped the rumor.
Yeah, and man, what really sucks is if Jade does not win, there's going to be a contingent of fans that thinks that it got changed to give it to Ruby so that there wasn't a perception. It just feels like that's what makes it even worse that he said that, because he puts himself in a lose-lose situation with this outcome. And it's like people are just going to come for him no matter who wins this title next week. And that's unfortunate because the TBS tournament has been fantastic.
It's been great. Oh my God, so many great matches.
And so
I think Jade had the performance she was looking for on Wednesday. That, you know, when a lot of people have said, you know, where's that Jade Cargill performance? I felt like he had it.
Wrestling talk here? No, it's just
no. Anyway, so I would want to read a couple more super chats. Kate says, "Will and I have huge heat. Don't believe this."
I believe it.
Dell says, "Then now Wakanda forever."
Jesus.
Real Take Sports says, "Thank you guys. It's important to have these
dead.
convos in order to set the record straight, heal, and eventually move to a
Yeah, I
resolution."
wanted to say something. Will was saying earlier he ain't beefing with nobody. If you're beefing with Phil, you're beefing with Righteous Reg. I want that to be on record. All right.
Hey,
look,
man.
I took that stance last year, and I got in Phil's I got in his crossfires, and I'm like,
I'm
you know
sorry,
what?
guys. Coming in hot, man. Coming in hot.
Here's the thing. I disagree with takes, and a lot of people that have beef with Phil have takes that I do not agree with.
Hand in hand.
So keep in mind that I don't have a beef with you, but I may have a beef with how you feel. But the cool thing is, like, I really.
No, we're not.
When I say I don't want to be,
y'all are tiring and annoying.
Because
really, leave us alone.
Really, when I say I don't want to be with people anymore, like, I think one of the things I think that sucks is like when somebody says, like, you know, they have a bad wrestling opinion, and then people like go grab their profile picture and like, well, look at this fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And they're like, but come on,
Don't
man,
do
like,
that.
like
It's wrestling. It's wrestling, guys.
Let's keep it about their take. Like, their take was bad and all of that. That's fine. But you know, I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to deal with that as soon as I say a bad take. Well, your music sucks. What does my music have to do with
it? It's the same.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
What?
But
and I'm like, you know what? Let's keep it about what we were talking about. Like this, I feel like you've lost an argument the second that an argument is going on, and you're like, man, but look at your shoes.
Right.
Like, well, who was talking about that?
Look at
yo, so man, real quick.
Hit him with the Doug Funny.
Oh, hey, real quick. Quick, just because I just got on camera, I just want to say, shout out to my daughter, Veda, who surprised me for Christmas with my Grapsody t-shirt. I had no idea.
Veda,
my daughter got me a Grapsody t-shirt for my
So can I say this on show now that I ordered our merch, by the way, and somebody got us, man. Somebody stole my package, bro.
Somebody walking around.
Somebody somewhere is walking around with Grapsody merch in the Chicago area. Hey, man.
Hey, if you see it too, you'd be like, one, thanks for the free advertising.
Hey, man, somebody got us. So, no, but real quick, the thing that I did appreciate that Sean said is that I do think that there are some black people online when we disagree and it turns into oh, y'all shucking, y'all cooning. And like, look, there's been certain people that come at me with this and I ignore it. And to be honest with you, for a minute, it really bothered me because, you know, I really care about, you know, putting a highlight on certain things for black wrestlers. I really care about trying to help the wrestlers as much as we can. And I don't like people trying to misrepresent, you know, what I stand for and make it seem like, you know, I'm just, you know, shucking for this company or shucking for this cause or whatever else. Because that is never the case. And I feel like if you know me or you follow my work, that's just never been what I've been trying to do.
Right.
And so if there is a beef with people, because I'm not going to say what Will said, like if there is a beef, it is.
I
beef.
know he's not. I know
Yeah,
Phil got
if
beef.
there is a beef, I feel like it's a beef with people attacking my character. And it's like, look, if you just don't agree with me, cool, but
That's fine.
don't attack my character based off of that. Like, that's corny to me. Like, don't do that.
Like, you don't know me, bro, because of some wrestling takes. Don't be talking to me.
By
like
the
that.
way, MF Doom hoodie, by the way.
Doom,
rest in
man,
peace to the homie.
yes, that's what's up.
We found out that he passed on New Year's Eve last year. So again,
Yep.
rest in peace to
1 year.
to the god MF Doom.
Yeah, let's see. We
All
got
caps.
Nate W says, being a minority means nothing. Being a minority does not automatically make you an ally to black people. There are many anti-black racists. Yeah,
That's
is
true.
very true. And that is why, again, for our conversation, talking about black representation, because minorities may not always see eye to eye with each other. And I very much
They pit us against
know
each
that.
other in all facets of life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Let's see what else we got. And thanks everybody for being with us on this Saturday.
yeah, this is crazy.
This is
The
hands
super
down
chats.
the most successful episode we've ever had in super chats and viewership. And
It beat
everything.
that one, the releases episode, huh? The releases episode was going
Hey
crazy.
man,
but this
yeah,
one is-
y'all don't have to support us every time something bad happens, guys. Come through, we're fun. We are. I
Yeah,
promise.
yeah, on their regular days. We're not talking about crazy stuff.
Yep. Let's see. Mike says people always want to counter the representation issue with specific examples. There will always be exceptions, but exceptions are never a fix.
Right.
Which again, we're talking representation.
But what about that one match 3 years
Yeah.
ago?
Easy attack. Do you think Leo's public criticism of TK was the right approach? I love Leo, but it seemed a little counterproductive. Chris Ely.
I
I'm
think
not here to tell any-
emotions. Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
I don't know
Emotions
anybody's
happen.
approach.
Like it's hard to say like he shouldn't have done that because like
I-
if you're in the moment and you're feeling like it, you're like, yo, no, I'm about to let it rip, bro. Come on.
Yeah, Beyblading it. But no, I don't know if I would say that because I think the thing that we love about Leo is real, and Leo will tell you exactly what he feels. That's what he did with WWE,
Yep.
and that's what he did in this situation. And
Yep.
I don't feel like
That's what I appreciate about him.
Yeah, so I don't feel like he disrespected Tony. I think he just was like, no, I don't like this, and you owe her an apology, and that's valid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't feel like he said anything disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, like I said, the only thing I'm gonna say about Tony and the minority issue with him is that I don't think it is a good idea or productive to the argument to discount his own minority status. I think if anything, approach it from a place of understanding, because I think we all and I recognize the first thing anybody's going to say to that is, why is it always black people's responsibility to do that? It's not. It's everybody's responsibility to do that. I think it's everybody's responsibility because I want that from everybody, that you come to any situation, any type of argument that is about representation from a place of understanding the current view in order to get your view heard. That's not to say that you have to agree with it, because that's the thing is understanding and agreement are two entirely different things.
Right.
And it's always felt to me like understanding something helps articulate the argument that you want to get across to get the thing that you dislike to change. And that's always how I'm going to feel. That's how my mama taught me. And she's the greatest woman on earth. So shout out to my mom who bought me a nice coat for Christmas. Always keeping me warm.
That's a fact.
So
She knows it's about to be snowing.
Yes.
But on top of that, I will say too, part of, if you're going to say that what Leo did is counterproductive, that's the problem with Leo, with TK making this an online thing. Once he tweeted it, now, you open the floodgate for people to respond to it.
240 characters is not enough for any conversation, man. Don't do this. Don't do that. Tom says, hello, lads. Just wanted to say this is my first show listening to yourselves, and also to say I feel more enlightened on diversity issues within the wrestling industry through today's episode. Much love from a future listener, Tom. I'm loving everybody.
Appreciate you, Tom. Yeah, that's dope.
I really appreciate that.
Shout out everybody that's brand new. This is dope. We just,
Hey man, new year, new us.
Yeah.
Shout out, Brian said, thank you guys for doing this on your day off. It's been an extremely educational and level-headed conversation. You know what, though? There's one more conversation to have, by the way. That's real important. But Sean DM'd me, said, you guys go as long as you want. And I said, I actually didn't say anything to that because I'm not typing on this podcast. But Sean, okay. Let's see. He said, TK made the mistake. This from R. Dickinson. TK made the mistake of taking this personally and reacting personally. Now wrestlers and fans have license to take this issue and tweet personally.
That's the point.
That's it.
That's also very true.
Open the floodgates. The floodgates are going to open.
Yep. Shout out to RBR Wrestling's B-Rob. He says, in my military years, we come up as peers. It's a different ball game when you get promoted. You can be cool, but we ain't friends when it's work. And that goes with the point of what we were talking about 10 minutes ago about, you're not everybody's friend anymore.
Right.
And Rizzo says, just found you guys. Really respect the conversation. Let's see. And Ali Sheen's Playground says, Swole was wrong. TK had a right to defend himself. You forgot the F, but
that is a take, but I will phrase it to you this way, and I will just challenge you to listen to her podcast, because I think you got to get the full scope of everything she's saying. And if you're saying that he had the right to defend himself, you're phrasing it like she attacked him. She did not attack him.
She didn't attack him.
So to say that she was wrong, she is not wrong to lob constructive criticism at a company that she worked for.
A lot of people feel a lot of wrestling fans feel the way that Swole feels. That's just an actual fact. I hear a lot of black wrestling fans say, I don't watch AEW because there's no representation for me. There's no one that looks like me. There's no one that acts like me. I hear that often. So
I hear that
it's
a lot.
not just out of the air. She wasn't just talking. This is the real thing.
You got to take a piece from this as well, that I think one of the most insightful things that she said in this is that she had a conversation with her daughter, and her daughter was watching AEW, and she told her, like, I don't see anybody that looks like me on our programming, Mom. And, like, if you're a parent and you hear that from your kid, you feel a way. And I do think that, that's part of why she came to, the conversation the way she did. So it's wrong. It's hard for me to just say that she's just wrong. Like, no.
Yeah,
like,
it is too. And like I said, and maybe it's because my kids are like kind of hardcore. Because like from the other perspective, my daughter, big wrestling fan, right? As a matter of fact, I'm sorry, Reg, I'll bring some Boston baked beans, but I got to take her to Raw because she wants to go see Bianca.
Oh my God.
I bought the tickets. I'm taking her to Raw, right?
$35.
I don't know what I spent, but she wants to see Bianca, right? But I will say she loves Jade Cargill. She thinks Jade Cargill is the coolest, right? She's like real life Storm.
Yep.
She also thinks Red Velvet is awesome.
Love Red
so
Velvet,
cool.
by the way. Come on, man.
So,
Stir it up.
yeah, as a matter of fact, she got in an argument with my boy, my daughter. I'm gonna tell the story real quick. So, I don't know what they were talking about, but my daughter thinks the stir it up gesture is like cool as hell, right? And so, my boy is over. He's basically like an uncle to her, and they were like arguing about something. And he was like, "You want to get the heads or what?" And she was like, "Yeah, we can get the heads." And then he was like, "What is that? Is it what is this?" And she's like, "You're gonna get stirred up. That's what it is." And then he's like, "Stir what up?" And she's like straight out your mama's kitchen.
Man, dropping bars on.
And he's like, "What does this even mean?" And I turned around and I'm like, "It's a wrestling thing. It's Red Velvet." And he's like, "What?" And just watching this all transpire was funny as hell. But again, I do see it. I see where kids want to see themselves represented.
Shout out to Little B, the bass god, if we're talking about stirring it up too. I would be remiss if I didn't say Lil B's name, because he will appear out of thin air with some white woman's feet next to him. So
Josh says, first time watching this in full, and can I say I will watch every episode going forward. Y'all are a force for good. Please keep it up, guys. Man, I would love to be caught up on these though. Ronan says, do you think if they sign Keith Lee, he will immediately be in the title picture? As much as I really like Will Hobbs, I don't think he's ready, but I could easily see Lee in the
Why
title
do
picture on day
people
one.
say this? What is ready? What's ready? What's ready? What's ready? What's ready? Who's ready for anything?
It's an Alicia Keys song.
Yeah, but
I mean, like I said, again, what I want to see is.
What does that mean?
What I want to see is the path. What I want to see is what I saw with Hangman for 2 years. What I saw, because nobody at any point, unless you were the dumb asshole, and there were people who were, was like, oh, Hangman's not going to get pushed. Everybody knew it. Everybody knew that. You knew it from day one. Hangman was going to get pushed.
I mean,
not that WWE show that nobody's going to watch today. Make sure.
But see, that goes back to your wrestling is not good enough, because it just feels like, from the outside looking in, that it just feels like black wrestlers have to prove themselves a lot more than other wrestlers do. It just seems like everything, we have to work twice as hard to feel like we belong. And I just don't. And I mean, I feel that way definitely with this Jade conversation. Every time I say that she should be champion, people are like, oh, well, she's not ready. And it's like, well, let her show you she's ready. Like, at least give her a chance. Like, come on.
Right.
Yeah. But as far as Keith Lee is concerned, I will say this, because we didn't get to do a show last week. Cody won the TNT title on Christmas. And that had a lot of eyebrows raised, right? Of like, what the hell? Like, Cody's champ again. But I'll say this. The idea of Cody Open Challenges was great.
Loved it.
That was one of the best things happened in 2020. And
if they could get that every week on Dynamite, they need it.
And with the free agencies that's out there, like the one thing we didn't get to see is, and I thought it should have been the case. I said that Cody keeps doing these open challenges, right? I feel like if we're going to keep the open challenge up, he needs to lose it in an open challenge. And he didn't. He lost it to Darby, who was number one contender for like 3 weeks, right? He didn't do an open challenge. And I feel like the story is still there for Cody to bring back the open challenge and somebody to just answer it and beat him. And if
there's two guys
if I were writing, I know. If I were writing this, okay. Let's remove my personal one from that. But I think, well, actually, I won't say that though, because I want to see him get more of a significant build. If anything, I feel like if Cody is, getting all cocky, and all of a sudden, big ass Keith Lee just comes out, and it's like, oh shit, and then you do the Brody match where it's like he did not see Keith coming and he beat the shit out of him. That would be amazing. That's what I would do. If it were me, if I wanted to bring in,
and it seemed like somebody else trying to feud with Darby Allin.
I feel like if Keith Lee wants I feel like if you wanted to bring in Keith Lee with a splash and make it seem like this is a dude who is important and is a big deal and is a force, because look at his size and look at what he can do, I'd have him beat Cody day one. That's what I would do. But anyway, Brent says, this was such an awesome adult and rational conversation. You know what? There's still a little bit more to go. We sure took place on the internet. Love this show to an unhealthy level. We love you. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Says, I find it strange how in all this Nyla Rose is being erased in the convo as if she wasn't the first black trans women's champion. I guess her blackness isn't enough for black Twitter.
Yes and no. We'll just say that. Yes and no.
I don't want her to be tokenized, and I know she doesn't want to.
Correct.
So there is that. But I also don't want her to be erased from the conversation either. So there's a couple of ways about that. Bronze Squib says they knew who Leo was when they signed him, and he said nothing wrong. It was nice to see a roster member straight up call out the disrespect.
I listen. I respect it. I like Leo, man, and I mean,
me too.
It could be taken away, but at the same time, I think it was incredibly brave for him to do that, man.
I think so too.
Does this situation cause anyone to realistically second guess their decision to join AEW? I've talked with wrestlers in the last 24 hours, a few of them. As a matter of fact, I've talked with one in the last 2 hours on this show. You tell me. Let's see. Yoko says TK should have taken the Chappelle approach and ignored it because, like Dave said, Twitter is not a real place.
I mean, how much has Dave been ignoring? Like, Dave has been telling us for months that he got beef with a certain community. Like I need Dave to kind of relax too.
Yeah, most definitely.
Terrence says, first time watching the show, feels like a breath of fresh air after the storm of takes I read last night. Justin says, that company has pushed a lot of green women, so trying to use that against Swole and or Jade shows a lot of these fans' true colors.
Very fair.
Oh my God, caught up on super chats. Unfortunately,
Ooh.
Fortunately, there's humper chats as well.
Caught up.
Yep, because
Saturday morning Ursher, huh?
Murph says Tony deserves to be able to defend his product, but the last line did not need to be said. Even though Swole is not great in the ring, wrestlers like Hobbs and Sheeta should also not be attacked for having a better experience as a minority in AEW. And that's the thing is, again, we talked about invalidating people's experiences. You can't one way or the other.
It has to be on both sides.
Yeah, it has to be on both sides, right? Like Hikaru Shida is somebody who moved to the United States for AEW, spoke very little English when she got here, and
did a kick-ass promo on Wednesday.
Did a kick-ass promo on Wednesday. Well, yeah, and the funny thing was she talked about it. She said she started taking acting classes after she lost her title, and that, you know, being kept off of Dynamite was her request, that she felt like she wanted to return to TV with some acting chops. She felt like she wanted to bring more to the table, and she's bringing it to the table, right? Like now we see Sheeta on TV cutting promos on Serena Deeb. Like, this is not the Hikaru. Like, we've seen her in the ring, but we have not seen the fire from her
she's
until this
definitely
run.
Evolving.
Right.
See what's happening on YouTube too, man. Respectfully.
Yeah.
And Alicia says, so are we going to talk about the Brandy promo here as well? That's the next topic. And
I forgot about Brandy.
Nerdstrom says people seem to see diversity as a singular issue rather than an umbrella term. It is. You can be diverse in many ways, but you can still be lacking in some. Much love, guys. Appreciate your work. That is the key, that you can't just say something is not diverse if it doesn't represent you, which is why you have to speak to your own representation. Right. Because otherwise it's a losing argument, right? That I saw one of the worst accounts on Twitter tweet out the whole like, see, we were right, it's all elite white people, and then immediately people lash back with, what are you talking about? Lucha Bros are champions. And
you're dumb.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of, but again, they start bringing up other minority groups, right? Because you focused it on dismissing everybody.
Yep. Can't.
Again, advocate for what you're advocating for, and say what you mean.
That's it. That's all.
You mean black representation. You want black representation. And more so, you want black male representation. That is what you guys want more than anything else. And say that because that's more of what you're after. And I feel like you'll be heard more if you are more direct. But if you leave room for the semantics,
and let's be all the way honest. Some of these people that were calling for black men to be represented, y'all weren't listening to black women. Like, don't try to act like you were now. You were not.
Nope.
Let's see. We got Amanda Bassaro says, love you guys. Thank you for such great conversations and insight. Grapsody and Fightful rules. And I think that's it. Guys. Oh my God. Oh no, got one. Numlocks said, it was nice of Sammy to try and distract everyone by tweeting of him and Ty kissing.
Smart move.
Hey, man.
He's like, wait, there's heat on us. Let's kiss.
Chris said, make a support wrestlers, not companies shirt.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I agree with this. Sir Linko says Jaden Lethal needed to beat Sammy if Sammy was going to lose the title. A perfect way to develop that title can change on an open challenge. I think an open challenge. Look, I love Sammy. I think Sammy is a great performer. Sammy probably had, other than FTR's tag title reign, the first title reign I've ever felt that didn't hit in every way. It was the first time I felt like the TNT title didn't feel like a top tier title was his run. And that's okay. Not everyone's going to. That's not an indictment of Sammy as much as it's just not everybody's run's going to be a home run. And sometimes I feel like you need to hit the reset button. Should it have been Cody? I don't know.
I don't think so.
But I do think Cody's the most over. Cody's the one that people are going to want to see lose the title that last year, or I guess it's 2020, so 2 years ago when the TNT Championship Open Challenge was going on. That was the guy you were all tuning in to see lose. And you were seeing, and we saw guys come in from that. We saw Eddie Kingston. We saw
Ricky Starks.
We saw Ricky Starks. So I don't know. Let's see. And then we got the my BWM chat didn't get read. It was the card, or maybe I missed it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Support Black Wrestlers Matter.
Black Wrestlers Matter is going to be fire in February.
It's, coming up in February.
They got some a crazy match card out there. It's wild.
Sorry, Val.
And also support Ohio Wrestling Alliance. They have a great show coming up. Support what's the homies in Texas? Not New Texas. Damn, that show's good. I'll retweet it. It's a bunch of the homies. It's going to be in February also. It's like
man.
Will
There
Hobbs,
are options, guys.
Not
man.
Will Hobbs, AJ Gray, Trisha Dora, a bunch of people. There's so many black wrestling places and companies and wrestlers to actually put your time and space into. So find them and do that. And we don't have to keep doing this every week.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of shit I don't want to do every week. Okay. Number 4 topic was Big Swole, by the way. So it's 5 and 4 we got through.
Are you sure? Can we skip to number 2?
I'm just gonna say straight away, this Lambert stuff is bad. It's
awful.
Not good. It's
terrible.
Awful. Having him come on and run her down the way that he did. I understand it's supposed to get heat and whatever. It's just not good. It's very
These two
dated.
things happening in the same week is not a good look.
Yeah, the way that he started that promo, I just didn't like anything about it. I mean, you've got like a new mother coming back to TV, and you're calling her a stripper and all this stuff.
Like,
it just was gross. I don't really need that. Like, it just isn't. I'm not with it. It's just not for me.
Let me tell you where it lost the plot for me. Where Lambert as a whole has lost the plot. So, I think the idea, because you know, there are AEW critics out there, lots of them. The idea of bringing an AEW critic character into the show is not inherently a bad idea. I was at the first show that Lambert appeared at. I actually thought, hey, kind of a genius move here, right? Using the criticisms as a character on screen. Somehow he lost that plot a long time ago.
Him outright saying he was Cornette this week is like
bad.
That was that. But the thing was, he wasn't like saying Cornette shit this time. And that I was like, okay, now
this was like a 1999 ECW promo. He was.
It definitely felt like the Jericho, you know, running down Stephanie McMahon. And it just felt very dated. And it's like this is
dated
just not.
And like
it doesn't work.
I don't know how we got here, but this was not the original like. The character of the AEW critic brought to life. This is just old dated nonsense.
Old attitude era bullshit.
But we're focusing a lot on Dan Lambert.
Well, I just wanted to start with that. Start with the premise, the very premise of this segment is bad.
Yes.
For him to cut this promo on Brandy and not Cody, and then Brandy had to come out and then defend herself, and it it diverts from Cody, and it's like, are you guys going to hit this black woman? What is going on here? You're going to fight this black woman, Dan Lambert? What? It's completely nonsensical. Like, he's saying all this stuff, and then you've got Scorpio standing next to him and just laughing it up, and you know, she kind of acknowleded at one point.
And she did acknowledge. She was like, she made the line because Scorpio Sky is her like actual blood cousin. It was like, thanks for the support, family.
And it just, it's tacky. It's very tacky. And oh boy, then
Should I be concerned by this? My wife just texted me. I'm making a large purchase.
Yeah, probably.
Is she sneaker shopping with the Bucks?
On January 1st, she said out the gate, look, we started this year off.
I gotta respond to this. Like, what is large?
She said I bought a jet. I'm coming to the crib with it.
Wait, a picture's coming through.
I
don't know. That's a really nice chair
A chair.
Yeah, a chair.
Mm.
I don't even want to know how much. Don't tell me. Don't fucking tell me. Don't tell me.
Just leave me out of
Yeah,
this.
just leave me
bring
out
it
of
on.
this. I don't want to know. But anyway, Brandy. So I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday, who wanted to know.
Not Tony Khan. Too soon.
No, this was in between the Tony Khan stuff. This was. I was having a conversation with a friend who wanted to know, like, exactly where the issue with the black bitch line comes from.
Mm-hmm. That's valid.
And they were like, because the way this friend put it was, I don't necessarily see what the issue with her calling herself that is. Where is there a problem here? And the way I responded to that was, I said, when it comes to self-deprecating terms, in the same way that we all say nigga, right? We can say it, and we do say it. But we mostly say it with each other. I wouldn't necessarily want to put myself in any position to give somebody not black, specifically somebody old and white, the authority to respond to me with it.
Gotcha.
And I feel like if somebody calling themselves a black bitch to a white man, could you imagine if the next line, and I'm saying in a real life argument, if she had said that in a real life argument and then he responded, well, yeah, you are a black bitch.
Right.
Like,
that's wild.
You don't want to give somebody that power.
No.
And that's part of why that's not necessarily vernacular you want to use in that kind of situation. And I feel like it was entirely missed on why you don't do that.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Wow.
Yeah, give me the devil's advocate.
Look at this. Jade Cargill calls herself that bitch.
She does.
She
so
does.
like, it's different because she doesn't say that black bitch.
It is. It
I
actually
mean,
is.
there's a fair
Because
conversation.
people say that they describe her as that bitch.
I mean, there's a conversation to have because I mean, you know, Jazz, that was a big part of her gimmick
Jazz,
for a
that
long
was
time.
her
That she
thing,
would say,
yep.
you know, the bitch is back and the bitch is black. But the thing
She's
that
saying it to herself.
Right.
Like, that's
yeah. But I think the difference here is because I do agree to a degree, but I do think the difference here is perception. And you know how this goes, you know, perception is everything. And I think the way that Brandy is perceived is that she is not genuine when she does stuff like that.
I agree. That's what it is.
People perceive her as someone that does not talk like this in real life. And so when you get her on TV doing this, it looks like to some people that she's doing a caricature. Whether that's true or not, that's just how it comes off to
And
people.
it doesn't feel like that with Jade at all. This
Exactly.
Is,
And
this is Jade.
feels genuine.
Okay, yeah.
Now,
I get
granted,
you.
Brandy explained like where she's coming from, and I was telling this friend yesterday that there's nothing wrong with basing your character on something else. Like Brandy explained that like her whole on-screen persona is basically Vivica Fox from Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah, she explained that that's literally what this is all based
Meet the
on.
Blacks.
Yeah, that's exactly what her persona is based off, and like that's fine. Talking to Maria Canella, she once told me that the Ditz character was entirely Lucille Ball. That was what she's trying to channel, the facial expressions, everything. She watched Lucy, and that was what she brought to TV. And so that I get that part. The piece that I think is missing is that
it just doesn't feel genuine.
It doesn't feel.
That's what
it doesn't
takes
feel
away
genuine,
from
but
Brandy's promos every single time.
the hard part is, I did a search. I don't know why. I was searching for a take on Brandy, and so I typed in. I forgot what words I typed in to even find this tweet. But I ended up coming across some tweets from like almost 2 years ago. It was right after the Nightmare Collective broke up. And people were praising Brandy for her promos against MJF. And they were like, man, Brandy feels so genuine when she's in this role. And she's just like, standing up for her husband. So like, I don't know where the desire to do the Vivica Fox character came from. And like, after the Jade Cargill thing from last year, to repeat it this year, like as soon as she said at the top of the stage, when you heard who said it was open mic night, I thought,
oh no,
oh no, it's back. And look, I said this on Twitter. I don't dislike Brandy at all, because you will never catch me. I just can't bring myself to bring down any black person succeeding in pro wrestling.
Right.
Like, for people who will say, well, she's not the right one. She is black, and she is in a executive role in a professional wrestling company. She is the chief branding officer. That's not something that was just necessarily handed to her. She does have a background in. She was director of marketing for I forget what company, but it was a Florida-based company before she signed with WWE, before she even met Cody. So that is stuff she does have background in. Do I necessarily think everything she does on screen is great? No.
Look, Brandy Rhodes, I got it. From here on out, get a mouthpiece. Get another person to talk for you.
A mouthpiece and a mouthpiece.
Your character will be, I don't talk because I'm rich. I'm Brandy Rhodes. I'm great. And you just keep winning matches. Keep letting your mouthpiece talk. And then that's how you get over. You just heal it up. But anytime you talk, people are just going to be talking about that because they're fucking haters. So what you need to do is get a mouthpiece. Let them talk. Let your wrestling do the talk, because you have improved in the ring. We all have seen it. You've been doing great. So just go get those 2 belts and shut all these people up.
No.
2-belt Brandy. That's what we're leading this. Phil and Will agree that 2-belt Brandy should be a thing.
But I will say this: that people say some nasty shit about her, right?
It's
like,
awful.
They do.
People say some nasty shit, and like, I don't like any of that either. Like,
terrible.
You can't be like, oh, I didn't like this promo. So Brandy, you're
the worst. Yeah,
you're
you can't.
Some shit I can't even say in my house because my daughter's here. But like, so that's not the look either.
This is why
criticize the wrestling. Don't criticize the people.
Yeah, this is why I also recommend people to listen to Swole's podcast, because she did speak on there about the response that she got wearing a Black Lives Matter sleeve, and how she got called certain things. She
specifically brought up Daly's place too,
and just how she was treated. And so I do think that whether you like everything Brandy does or not, I do feel like she is treated unfairly sometimes, and she is the target of racism.
She's put under the same exact microscope that Swole was put under.
And people don't talk about that part. And I do think there is a piece to this that I really, really don't like. And that's that I just feel like either you're not black enough or you're too black. And I feel like it's just never right. Like, it's never the right middle ground for some people. And I just feel like in some ways, like, Brandy is in this place where it just doesn't matter what she does. Some people will hate it. And I mean, whether that's fair or not, I don't know. That's just what it is. That's where we're at. But no, this segment was bad. It was
real bad. It was real bad.
Yeah,
but like I said, I want black people to be successful, and she's one of the people I will still root for. Oh my God, Reg, you got to put her back in the 500 this year.
Oh no! What number is she gonna be?
You do.
Son of a bitch. Thanks for wrestling, Brandy. I'm just kidding, Brandy. You're number 1, baby. They're gonna be hating on you next year.
Number 1.
2-belt Brandy.
Scoop right here. Next year, 2022. Number 1.
Oh,
2-belt brand.
So Jay Blood says an open challenge works with an established star taking on popular online up-and-comers. Sammy needed a big-time heel to feud with. Yeah. Brent says he was just saying for the mods. Seriously, yeah. Thank you, everybody moderating the chat tonight, because that is not easy.
Team effort, guys. It takes a village.
Kate says, "Why would TK pay someone to shit on his company?" Wonder what that was in response to.
Probably to the Lambert stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
That does make sense. Yeah.
But so you got to do it in a more. in a checked
subtle?
in a checked way, right? Where like obviously you don't want to do it where because there were a couple of things he said that I thought don't say that on screen because that's that kind of breaks kayfabe. Like, don't come in here and necessarily say wrestlers are doing gymnastics.
Right.
Don't say that
Yeah.
because that's not in the context of the show what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to do it all in a way where it is still contextually accurate to the show, and then you have to do it in a way where he can get checked. Where like
somebody he can get his comeuppance, like
right, because like because the thing he was doing was where he's like, you know, the thing he was saying was these guys are all small here, these guys aren't as tough as my generation's wrestlers were, blah blah blah. That was the stuff he was starting with, right? And then Lance Archer comes out, who's 7 foot, and takes him out. That was kind of the point to put him in a place where he can levy the criticisms and then get checked on it. So that way, the way that's supposed to work is that you are actively on screen proving the criticism wrong. And that's what a character like that can be good for. If they come out, throw out the criticism, but not necessarily in a full way, but then all of a sudden they get checked. And maybe they do it for a month, and then all of a sudden they get proven wrong, and then the criticism's wrong. That's supposed to be what that's for.
You know, after this, I hope that Tony Khan takes on he does exactly like Vince McMahon did after Bret Hart, and he just full on embraces being a giant heel. And during Dynamite, he starts putting his tweets up on the screen while the show's happening.
What do you know?
No,
Red bro. No.
You know what? Actually,
Abort.
Don't do that, Tony Khan. I'm joking. This is a jokes podcast.
Shout out Brian. Shout out Life of Deem. Said removed Lambert. You can put another
every time I
match.
see Lambert, that's exactly the thing I think about. Is we could have been watching a women's match. Why are we watching?
I'm curious, by the way, what happens with 2 titles going forward, like officially. Like, let's see.
Like, when's the last time Britt defended?
She's defending next Saturday.
Oh, that's right.
Come on, man.
Rio's
Big Rio.
Yes. We got Tom says, I've been thinking since he won it that Cody should drop the title to Sky.
He should.
That said, the idea of Swerve or Keith Lee or Gresham coming in to win is fire.
They've been setting up Sky since the beginning, so like,
they keep setting up because like that's the reason that I feel like Ethan Page keeps getting the title shots because it's like he can lose them.
Yeah, right.
Let's see. It's Shucky Ducky says Big Bill's Washington with that chair money.
Quack quack.
I don't know. I don't know. All I got was the last text I got just said bot. So see, she does this to me in a place where I can't respond.
That's perfect. She's like, he's
it.
podcasting. I'm about to drop it off.
Yeah. Yoko says the promo was bad, and also where the hell was Cody?
Where was Cody?
Why
did
does
he
Dustin
come and do something?
always have to save his brother's wife? And because like, are we supposed to be under the impression he wasn't there and that Rampage happened someplace else?
Cody's like, go out there, big bro, save her.
Yeah. Alexander says, so many folks struggle with Brandy's self-representation because they have a very specific, hardened set of ideas of who she is IRL and what she wants to be on TV. Authenticity is a funny word when applied to Black identity.
That is a amazing point.
That's bars.
And that is actually very true.
R. Dickinson, Black nuance isn't taken into account with Brandy.
And like, she's a Black woman. She should be able to express herself however the fuck she wants, man. Anytime she says something, people are like, well, you can't do this. You're not Black enough for this. You're too Black. Man, shut up. Just let her talk.
I definitely tweeted this. Like, look, if there are Black women that feel a way about what she's doing,
also,
that's fantastic. But
I stand in my place. I said this week that, you know what, that conversation is really for Black women to have.
Exactly.
And that is
soon we'll have a Black woman on here, so all this damn male testosterone can go down a little bit, and we can let them kind of speak for themselves.
Yes. And by the way, we got guests coming up.
We got
a guest next week. We do got a guest.
We
next
do.
week.
We do have a guest next week.
Yeah.
We had a guest today, which I forgot about that fast.
We got a guest today. We got a guest next week. We got guests. So I'll mention that. Let me get through these super chats, and then I'll let everybody know who our guest is next week. But we got just supporting the great conversation, WrestleJoy. Thank you, WrestleJoy.
Appreciate you, WrestleJoy.
Easy Attack says, I liked Brandy's portion of the promo. She's from the D. She's prim and proper until you call her out her name. I think if she sticks with it, the beats the shit hits will be more crisp. I get it.
That is absolutely an unpopular opinion there, Mr. Chris Ely. But I respect it, you know?
Yeah. Ryan says, as a Lambert myself, I don't claim been loving this conversation with y'all. Much love to everyone. And Zeke Jackson says, Phil, can we get there's a conversation to be had here on a t-shirt?
That is a Phil.
Yeah,
that is a Phil specialty right there.
There's a conversation to be had, you know? There's a conversation to be had about a conversation to be had shirt.
Yeah.
Y'all ready?
We ready.
We got coming up next week here on Grapsody, the one and only Monteezy.
Yes. Big time.
Wrestling theme song king, the man behind the vocals on Sammy Guevara's theme song. He did Big Swole's theme song. He's the co-host of Swerve City Podcast.
Yeah.
He is family to me. And
rapper, motivational speaker, producer, all kinds of things, man. This guy does everything.
He does everything, and he will be right here with us on this show. Love Monteezy. That is my guy. And he'll be here next week live.
Yes.
And hey, Jay Shell said, completely agree with Phil. Swole changed my life. I took what TK said personally because of it.
Yeah. Nah. I listen and you know, real quick, Swole is the first wrestler I've ever interviewed. And it's just certain things with Swole and that's why I've tried to take, you know, my personal opinion out of it because, you know, I like Swole. You know, I like Swerve.
We love Swerve. Yeah.
But no, I like Swole, and that's why I'm like, no, I just didn't like how he came at her, and that's why I'm like, he could have handled that better.
That's it. We love Swole.
Yes. Sawyer says, as cringe as the Brandy promo was, at least we can discuss her choice to say what she said and not that it was scripted by a 75-year-old white man.
There is a point there, and that's why I said I don't like this whole, you know, she's not black enough to do that because at least she's doing this and making her own decision to do it. It's not a white man's
Fox
to do
thing
it.
is her idea, I'm all into it. Like I love it more. But if it was given to her by some white man, then it's crazy.
That's also true. But
you know what I mean?
Again, this promo was bad.
This segment was bad.
And Rojo Bear 24 says, you guys think Swole might be jealous of Jade? I'm not.
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I probably wouldn't say that. I don't think that's what it was. It wasn't about that.
So, really quick, with all that's happening right now, I think somehow, some way, we just all kind of forgot that there's a pay-per-view tonight.
Dun, 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 dun.
What is that? Who's on that? Where's that?
So WWE,
the Migos are going to be there. That's dope.
Yeah, WWE Day 1 live from Atlanta, Georgia.
ATL, shouty.
The State Farm Arena. It's
Madcap Moss and fucking Drew McIntyre are wrestling. That's awful. That's raw. Who would want to see that?
How the mighty have fallen, man.
Oh my goodness.
I feel bad for Drew because because to me I was like, look, Drew won the Royal Rumble in front of an audience, right?
That was this year.
That was last year. So I mean 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago. That was 2020. Won the Royal Rumble in front of a crowd, big crowd. Massive crowd in Houston at that. And then of course audiences went away. So he had to win the title literally in front of nobody. Then they bring in the Thunderdome and he gets to win the title a second time. He's a 2-time WWE champion. A lot of people forget that because people forget that Randy Orton, for some reason, that whole argument I was having with people on the Randy Orton thing, like 20 people said to me, what you're discounting is that Randy Orton is a 13-time champion. And I thought, one, y'all don't even know he's a 14-time champion because you keep forgetting that he won the title for like 2 weeks last year.
Right.
And it was so unmemorable. Nobody remembers that.
No one cared.
He won the title again. But anyway, and then, Drew loses at WrestleMania, the first WWE event with fans back, and then he loses his last shot at the title, and we're just like done. Like it doesn't feel like I know some people are saying, no, he's probably going to be the challenger for Roman, and maybe he is. Ain't no way he wins, There's no way in hell he is in a position to win. I feel bad for Drew McIntyre.
Right.
But I will say that the card overall is interesting. I think the Fatal 4-Way could be good. I'm not a massive fan of
Who's in that? I don't know anything.
But it's Biggie defending
the main event. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, no, the
Big
main
E,
event is
Seth
Reigns.
Rollins.
No, the main event is Reigns and Lesnar. Like, we know that. But but the WWE Championship, Big E, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and Bobby Lashley.
It's as long as no one has COVID.
I think that could be good. Well, Seth Rollins did. He's good now. I think that could be good. Of course, I prefer singles matches. The
outcome going into Royal Rumble was just like, ooh, this could be anything. Like they could go any direction with this 4-way.
I used to really love multi-person matches until they started to all feel the same to me.
Right.
And now I'm like, if I can get the best one-on-one match possible, give me a one-on-one match.
Give me that.
And so the more people they added to this, the less I was into it. But that said, I want to see Big E get a win. Somebody pointed out that Big E has come out on top of 2 Raw since becoming champion. The one come out on top, the one where he beat Bobby Lashley, and the one where he beat the Egg, Austin Theory. And I thought, that's it. He's been champion over 100 days. What do you mean? That's
big sigh.
Okay, but again, I just want to see Big E win. I want to see Big E look good. That nothing would mean more to me.
Right.
And yeah, Reigns versus Lesnar. I don't know. I feel like the Heyman stuff is a swerve. I feel like he's going to low blow Lesnar or something and then reveal that he still has Roman's back. I don't feel like this is getting a decisive finish. I feel like it's going to WrestleMania. And
it definitely is.
Definitely.
We're
all so excited about it. Yeah.
I think hard thing is we've seen this match a million times. Could still be good.
Right.
Seen it a million times. I'm curious to see what they come up with new. Because the New Day is facing the Usos. That is probably going to be another fire match between the New Day and the Usos.
We've legit seen this match 93 times.
We have
93 times.
Like I said, I'm curious to see
93 times
what they come up with new this time, because it's always a great series. I loved the Hell in a Cell. It's one of my favorite Hell in a Cells and deserves to be in the Hell in a Cell conversation. And
imagine if the Young Bucks just kept wrestling the Motor City Machine Guns. Like they never wrestled any other tag team. They only wrestled this one tag team, and their catalog for you to compete with another tag team is, well, they had really good matches with this one tag team. Suck it.
Yes. We've got Edge versus The Miz.
No one cares.
I know. Look, here's the thing, man. I'm ready for Edge to feud with Kevin Owens. I think that'll be good. I do think, I love Edge, and I think he is. The Miz wasn't it for me.
The direction that they took with you're still the little Miz earning your keep. Shut up, dude. No one cares
how long has the
about
Miz been
that.
around? We're past
Come
that.
on, man.
Miz. It's a wedding segment on Raw this week. If you had just left the lights red, nobody would have questioned the brood bath. You didn't have to turn them back on and reveal that you dropped motor oil on them. The brood bath was always blood, and okay, we can't show blood on TV. Fine, keep the lights red, and then you didn't have to. You could have it would have just been implied.
They didn't want to invoke that fiend energy.
Yeah. Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan. I don't know, man.
I think Becky's definitely winning this.
I think Becky is winning. I think we got to get because I think they're going back to Bianca and Becky at WrestleMania this time for the women's title. I hope. And what? That's the card. There's RK Bro versus the Street Profits too. But yeah, that's it tonight, and that is gonna be on Peacock. So yeah, we'll be watching. But you know what? We also have our number one topic.
Number one.
Did you vote? I hope you did, because Black Wrestling's Awards, we have winners.
2021 year-end awards. I got about 500 votes. Shout out to you guys for voting saying what's up, putting in your own answers, all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to announce a couple of these little winners. First up, the Wrestler of the Year. It was a pretty tight race, but not really. The number one choice got a lot of votes. It was far and away for this person for a lot of the time that it was up. Number one wrestler, the winner of the 2021 Royal Rumble match of the year at WrestleMania, Bianca Belair has been officially crowned the number one Black wrestler of 2021. Shout out to Bianca Belair, man. She had a crazy, incredible year. I was at that WrestleMania match. It was incredible. One of the best matches of the year, hands down, not WWE or anything. There's two women tore it down. She won the Royal Rumble. She had a great run. SummerSlam, things haven't been so great since then, but she's still been doing it. She had some great times with Dewdrop. Oh, God.
Great times with Dewdrop sounds wild.
I can't believe it. Bianca Belair is the number one. Bianca Belair is the number one wrestler.
And she absolutely should be. I think she did it all in spite of really like insurmountable odds. I think that I don't necessarily feel like WWE did the work to get her there. And I was like almost afraid of that because I just felt like they just kind of dropped her in and were just like, hey, here she is on SmackDown.
Right.
And love her and she's going to win the Rumble. I didn't feel like they did the work the way that you would. The way that they did like a Brock Lesnar, right? Where like they were like, hey, Brock Lesnar's going to come in and beat all your fucking favorites and then he's going to beat The Rock. Like I felt like, that's what I wanted to see from Bianca and they didn't do that. And it didn't matter. She, in spite of all of that, still came through, still the top, still one of the best. Yeah. And I love it. And even with that, and I just watched the SummerSlam match the day before yesterday. and even with that, which is still just the dumbest, most chump move you could ever pull on somebody you want to be a star. She's still over.
She still overcame.
She's still
her accolades just buried all that. That's awful, and they have to rectify it very soon. But it is what it is. So rounding out the top five. Number 2, the WWE champion Big E. Number 3, Leland Moriarty. Number 4 was Jonathan Gresham, and number 5 was Trish Adora. Crazy great top 5. All these wrestlers had great years, great matches. It's great to be a Black wrestling fan when there's not drama going on. I'll say that. And then tag team / faction of the year, Shane Taylor Promotions came in at number 1. They had also a great year. I think when
free
people talk
agent,
about,
by the way,
just became free agents. I think when a lot of people talk about independent wrestling and the year that it was had, most people talked about what Shane Taylor did, Shane Taylor Promotions did, and not only Ring of Honor, but a bunch of other different wrestling companies. So that was great. Number 2 was New Day. Kings of the Districts, number 3. Shout out to Il O'Neill and Jordan Blade. They're incredible. Culture Inc. was number 4. Great young tag team. Sean Dean talked a little bit about them. And then number 5 was the Street Profits. There's a lot of, I'm going to put up an extensive list of what happened. Breakout star was Dante Martin. Of course, that was like pretty far and away a choice because just of the crazy year he had. He won Move of the Year too for all that shit he be doing. So the promo of the year was the tightest race out of all the categories. Like a couple of votes, like 5 votes separated the winner. It was between, for the entire time, Ricky Starks and Darius Lockhart were back to back the whole time. And then in the end, Darius Lockhart came out with the victory. I'm guessing it's because of what he did in the NWA. He opened a lot of eyes with those promos. Every time he does a promo, he has just the world on fire. So yesterday he said some things and it's just, So Darius Lockhart, Ricky Starks, Billy Dixon also had an incredible year on the mic. Shane Taylor, Leo Rush. And the moment of the year, WrestleMania, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, Black women main event. The most probably iconic thing that happened all year because that's crazy. So Black Wrestling Awards. Thank you guys for voting. It's been a great year. There's a bunch of great matches, a bunch of great people. Next year it's going to be interesting because this pandemic is still running wild. Shows are getting canceled. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if we're going to go back to Thunderdome type shit. Like it's scary. So yeah, we're going to see what 2020 is all about. But 2021 was a great year for a lot of people, and that's it.
I think 2021 was a great wrestling year.
It was.
And I tweeted yesterday, I had more fun with wrestling, and I think part of it was because 2020, I went to one wrestling show in 2020, and then obviously everything was.
I went to so many wrestling shows in 2021. Oh my god, I couldn't even think of all the shows.
I know. So 2021, as soon as I was able to, I'm like, let's fucking go, and I was everywhere in 2021, and I maybe spent more money than I should have going to wrestling shows, but I was everywhere, and I am going to continue to be everywhere as long as I can be.
Y'all got something coming up.
Yeah.
Terminus
2 weeks. In 2 weeks. We'll be in the Atlanta area supporting. And matter of fact, I believe Baron just put up the card with everybody's match on.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, nice. And Phil, I think your mic got unplugged. I think you're coming through your laptop.
Uh-oh. Hold on.
But yeah, we. Yeah, we. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited. Never been to Atlanta. So
ATL, great place, great people, great food. Like so many good things about it.
Yeah, I will be there for Terminus. And yeah, so that's it.
Yeah.
That's it for this edition of Grapsody. Thank you for being here.
Ooh-wee.
Thank you for everybody for checking us out. I just looked at my Twitter notifications. There's so many. I'm not ready to even open that can of worms up yet. But I want to thank everybody for being a part of this show, for being here on this show. And definitely come back next week. We'll be here noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Like I said, Monteezy's going to be here. We got can you believe this? Grapsody's got a calendar. We definitely have a calendar of stuff coming up. We got guests coming up, but Monteezy will be here next week, and always love talking with Monteezy. He did my okay. Hey, do me a favor, because I'm not in a position to. I'll do it. Never mind. Here. Apparently, we have another guest joining us real quick.
What?
So, yeah. So, as soon as he clicks that link, he will be joining us. So, I'm going to prepare this so it looks good. Let's go with. Let's turn off the.
I don't know what's going on here.
Display.
Things are just happening, and things are just.
Let's see if he hurries up. Come on. I was trying to wrap up the show.
Things are going down.
I'm trying.
It's
in the meantime, you know what I'm gonna do?
boys.
I'm gonna. In the meantime, let's turn our display names back on.
In the meantime,
let's read some of the last of the super duper chats. Because we got, I can't remember the last one that we read. Let's see. Because we got a few. Damn, where's the last one? Okay, here we go. Finally. Let's see. I got Tony Khan is a CEO. He sounded very unprofessional. That's from Night Tracks. We got Rob Sykes says, I don't think TK is a racist or bigoted, but he needs to be checked and has to explain himself. I think it's all pretty explained, but he does need to address it.
I think we've got to be careful because people throw racism around way too quick, and I don't believe that what he said was racism.
No,
but it absolutely was a microaggression.
Yeah,
and that's why I feel like wrestling fans aren't the most nuanced when it comes to talking about race, because it's either to one extreme to another, and I wouldn't call the guy racist. I don't have enough evidence to say that. But I do feel like he could have handled it better.
Yes. Hey, we have our guest, by the way.
Oh.
Baron Black.
Oh, hey, Baron Black. What's up?
Baron
What's up?
Black is in the building.
Baron Black in the building.
What's going on, man?
What's good, my brother? How are you doing today? We heard you just announced the Terminus card. It's lit.
Yeah, I just put the whole Terminus card out there. I heard y'all actually shouting out Terminus, so I was like, yeah, you know what? Let me hop on here real quick. Because I've been listening to the show for like the last hour or so. So I was like, let me hop on here real quick and talk to my boys, Will, Phil, and Reg real quick. Appreciate y'all to, putting the show out there. You know what I mean?
you.
But I did have a question.
Yes.
I did have a question. You know what I mean? Because I'm just trying to end this stream on a light note. You know what I mean? Like, we had the discussions that needed to be had. Sean handled himself very well and was very professional about what he did. He got the point across. For a lot of us that are still actively working at AEW.
Exactly.
So
Baron Black
I
is
was,
one of these diversity people we're talking about that's out there in the trenches every week.
Every week in the trenches. And I was like, I wanted to end on a little lighter note. You know what I mean? Okay. So this is lighthearted. This is not that serious. I just heard you go over that whole list for that award thing. And I'll be damned if I ain't on that promo list. I don't know how I'm not on that promo list. We got an issue right now because I'm not on that promo list.
Look,
you know what I mean? I was willing to forgive.
Have been fire. I agree.
I was willing to forgive all those damn bangers I done put on all year on Dark and Elevation. But you ain't gonna leave me on that promo.
I mean, if we're keeping it real, a promo got you to the place, right? You did the promo. On
exactly.
I'm saying, I know. Yes, I agree. I agree.
I was not going to sit back and let that one fly.
I just put it up. So it's on y'all. It's on y'all.
Yes, I agree.
He's putting the heat on everybody else. Okay, I got you. I got you. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, I heard that. I was like, I'm gonna have to go ahead and let my voice be heard on this.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Y'all follow Baron Black. Tell us a little bit about Terminus. Who are you wrestling that day?
Oh, you know who I'm wrestling that day.
I just want to hear you say it.
I'm wrestling the current Ring of Honor World Champion Bandito, one of the best luchadors in the world right now.
That's gonna be fine.
And as y'all can see, I can't. Now I have to go down the whole card because I just don't want to talk about myself because this show is very, very stacked, and it's something that's going to be really, 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 really historic, and I want people to understand that this is history being made here. And I'm glad a lot of y'all in this chat right now are coming. I'm not going to say it out loud, but I am upset that one individual is not coming, but I ain't going to get on him right now. But I'm going to get on it right now.
Damn, all the heat's on me, Baron. Come on, man. What did I do?
No. I know people got things they have to do. People got prior engagements. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just letting you know that we definitely wanted you to be there. Gotta let you know that. So, yeah, of course, I'm having it is the biggest match of my career because it's the first time I'm wrestling for a world title.
That's beautiful.
Me versus Bandito for the ROH World Championship is just something I never thought I would actually see happen. It's just something that just happened the way it did. It was, you know what I mean? No, I mean, Bandito did not plan to get COVID-19. So if that situation has not happened, then this situation doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Glad he's healthy, and everything is good with him now. He's coming back to wrestling, and I'm looking forward to it. And you best to believe this is going to be the best version of Baron Black you've ever seen because there's something hanging in the balance that I want that can never be taken aback from me, and that's being a world champion. So, as the other part, you have one of the best wrestlers in the world the ROH OG title holder, Jonathan Gresham, taking on the walking weapon, Josh Alexander, in a pure rules match.
I can't believe this match is happening. My brain is like, this is going to be wild, yo.
I can't believe I get to see it in person.
Wow.
That is going to be something absolutely incredible. And then we have a match that I'm excited to see every match, but this match really sticks out to me as well. Lee Moriarty versus Jay Lethal. It's something. Jay Lethal is a very, very good wrestler. Jay Lethal I don't think he gets a lot of credit for the amount of greatness he has done throughout his career. I know everybody remembers a certain moment in Impact that's always replayed every once in a while, but
that's one of the most viral moments in wrestling history.
Yeah,
I talk to non-wrestling fans who know the woo-off with
right.
Jay Lethal and Ric Flair more than they know anything else in pro wrestling.
Right.
Yeah, Jay has had some incredible matches. He had incredible run as Ring of Honor World Champion more than once, and he's definitely one person that I looked at when I first got into wrestling, who was an inspiration. So to see that a guy that I looked up to, taking on the Tiger style upcoming guy Lee Moriarty, it's going to be a hell of a match to watch. Next we have Impact Digital Media Champion Jordan Grace taking on the Girl on Fire, Kiera Hogan. And that's just fire in its own. Jordan being the great powerhouse with a little technical background that she has, how she works in the ring, and Kiera, the Girl on Fire personality that she is, and she's very deceptively quick. She has a lot of speed, bro. She has a lot of speed, and she can hit. I don't think people realize that she can hit. So that's a match I want to see. I'm definitely excited for. I'm excited for this whole card. Honestly, it's really something unprecedented that we put together that I didn't think would probably ever be possible. The other parts of the card is we have a terminal eliminator match where we have, I believe, 3 of the most overlooked independent wrestlers right now, and that being JDX, Adam Priest, and Invictus Cash. And I've been able to get to know these 3 individuals pretty well over the last year or so. And I know these 3 individuals are very hungry, and they're gems in a waiting right now. And everybody's going to get a really good look and a really good taste of those 3 individuals. But they are in the ring with none other than Red Death Daniel Garcia. So
Independent Wrestler of the Year.
Independent Wrestler of the Year. The man that really took 2021 and made it his year. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be a really interesting matchup. And the concept and the rules of that match will be announced by Terminus, a Twitter account, in the next couple of days. So look out for that. We also have another wrestler I think is under the radar as well, because she hasn't been in America that often. She did a little bit of work on the Northwest side in Seattle, and that's Liza Hall. She's from Canada. And Gresham is the one that introduced me to her, and I watched some of her work, and I was like, the first thing I said out loud when watching is, where have you been hiding? Because she's that good. Like she's a very sharp technician, and John has went on record to say she reminds him of Zack Sabre Jr. So that's a big compliment to say. And she's taken on none other than probably one of my favorite wrestler on the independent scene right now, in the Kick Demon, Janai Kai. Like I love
Janai's
Janai.
tremendous.
I love Janai, man. I mean, she's vicious with it, and she's very good in the ring. So that matchup right there, I'm excited for that too. Also, we have Dante and Joe Keys teaming up. It's a team that they team together. Quite a few bit in Ring of Honor. Not people really knew that, but they're taking on what can be viewed as almost a catch point reunion between the team of Tracy Williams and Fred Yehi.
Mm.
And them two teams going at it is really going to be interesting. You know, does a new young upstart team prevail, or does the reunion between the Catch Point members prevail? So that's a real interesting one right there. And we have probably the match that we're going to see a lot of tossing around on, and that's New Japan Strong's Alex Coughlin taking on Impact World Champion Moose.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people have watched Alex New Japan Strong, but y'all need to go out and watch him. That man is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And we know Moose is a very, very phenomenal in-ring competitor, and he's a very deceptive, fast, and he likes to do a lot of flying stuff too. So that's going to be a real interesting matchup there. And that completes the whole card right now, but there will be some things that you will want to tune in to see happen.
There's some extras, huh?
So I can't say no.
That's hot. That's hot.
Hey, we're
That's
excited.
hot.
We will see you in 2 weeks.
That's a hot card.
Yeah.
Looking
Thank
forward
you.
to this.
Yep. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah.
Black. Thank you for swinging through. I
Appreciate that,
was a
man.
big
Thanks for
surprise.
coming to talk
That was
about
cool.
Terminus. We're looking forward to the show. It's going to be amazing. Good luck to all y'all out there.
Yeah. Excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing, and fix that list. I don't have to come for you.
All right. Well, folks, there's a couple more super chats. We got Nicole says, "Love you, Reg. I seriously would love to see Alex join you guys for a stream. Would be epic. You three are amazing."
Appreciate you, Nicole.
We also got Dante says, "Swole's most recent tweet makes TK look bad for real.
Haven't seen it. We've been podcasting.
For
3 hours.
I suppose that should be how we wrap up the show. Let's see. What do we got here on Twitter?
3 hour pod. Look at those guys.
Yep.
3 hours.
Okay. Okay.
It's an audio tweet.
It's an audio tweet. There's going to be some stuff to listen to. And that's exactly what I am going to do. Shout out to Rob. He said, I got to do commentary for a Lee Moriarty match. After the show, I talked to him about the Leland thing. He's going to get you, Reg.
Yeah,
Leland.
that's the homie. Shout out to Leland.
Yeah. But otherwise, folks, that's it.
We out. For reals
And
this
that's
time.
it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. That's it for this edition of Grapsody. Join us next week at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific for Phil Lindsey. For Righteous Reg, I'm Will Washington. We'll see you next time, and have a great afternoon. Peace. And have a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.